Hello, everyone. Welcome back. My apologies to anyone who caught my little stream flub earlier a few minutes ago. So, this is the real one. Huzzah! And we are live and things are happy and exciting. So, tonight I am joined by my good pal Casey. Hang on. Casey, welcome.
Howdy. How you doing, Kev?
Good. Casey is one of my colleagues from Intelitech. He won't admit to it, but he is an AI expert. He is also a Mountain Dew connoisseur, so we have two things that we both enjoy.
They now have it in zero sugar. It's amazing. I know that defeats the purpose for some, but
for some of
it's
us, it
nice.
does definitely defeat the purpose. But tonight we are going to be playing around a little bit on sprinkling some AI magic in with some of the stuff that I do with the streaming. Partly for learning, and partly because AI is cool, and partly to make me slightly more efficient. One cool little link that I wanted to share. This was something another colleague put out the other day, and I completely missed it. If you are interested in learning concurrency and fun coding problems, this is a pretty cool thing. This is really slick. So check it out. I contemplated actually working through it on stream at some point as well. So if people would find that interesting, like concurrency and deadlocks are always an interesting thing and the bane of some people's existence. So there's that. Okay. Casey, YouTube, subtitles. What are we doing tonight?
So, yeah, no, I think we know what we're doing. So I think we're gonna start out getting some semantic memory going. This will be done with the kernel memory framework from Microsoft, open source, pretty cool, done by some of their developers that also worked on semantic kernel, and provides a nice little what's the best way to put this, ingestion flow. So it provides, well, not just ingestion but also outflow, I guess.
It has
It
pictures.
provides your memory for reg. Yeah, so it's used to take in documents, or it provides a service that allows you to enter in whatever data you want to be a part of your reg application. You build out ingestion pipelines for those, and this allows it to be containerized and also scale, which is pretty cool. And on the other side of that, you can also connect to it to get your actual semantic memories. So providing a query and receiving back not just your information, but also sources and such. It's kind of a little bit more well thought out than semantic kernel was from the memory perspective. And it's focused on being a service. So you could also put I know you're going to hate this, but you could put any front end on this. It doesn't have to be
As
C
long as any
sharp.
front end is WPF, well, I'm good with that.
Or yeah. So you can put a Python front end on this, which feels backwards, but it's possible. So it's a pretty cool library, little framework here. So we'll start by taking a look there and hopefully set up a ingestion pipeline for your subtitles.
Cool. So just to clarify, so what listening to you talk, I have a feeling this is what my wife feels like when I talk about my work. Is lots of words that like are clearly
They
English,
mean
but
something.
they don't make a lot of sense. So for people who may feel a little lost, RAG is retrieval augmented generation. This is oftentimes, if you imagine like Chat GPT and saying, "Hey, I want Chat GPT, but I want it to be on my data. I want to have it have knowledge of stuff." So again, retrieval, pulling the data back, augmented generation. That would be the AI bit part of it, and then the generation is saying, okay, now create a response using what you've got to answer back.
That's exactly it. And the
I know
biggest benefits
something.
of that, you do. And the biggest benefits to that really is twofold, in my opinion. One is grounding. So you're able to prevent hallucinations by providing additional context that's related to the query. So this can be just other facts that you have um, that just help the LLM really know what you mean from a context perspective. The other piece there is, although it's not as much of a problem now since there's been so many updates in the training data or the data that the LLMs are trained on now. But previously, it was a big benefit because you were able to provide more recent data, things that were past the end of the training library or training corpus state, into the LLM, so it had additional knowledge beyond what it was trained on.
Right. Cool. So I have this little YouTube subtitles library that is sitting here. Sorry, one moment. I'm dealing with. There we go. This repo that I have here is one that I've showed people on stream a couple times. The key thing here is this little subtitles folder has a bunch of markdown files. And these markdown files are filled with text and hyperlinks that link out to my videos at that particular point. And the whole reason I built this is so that I could come in here and say, well, what have I said about WPF? And then I can literally scroll through the hits on my markdown, ignoring the C# ones, find the things that I want, and then say, well, let's actually go and look at that particular thing. Now, some of these things are more well formatted than others. You can see there's like the raw version of this, right? There was times where I had my spacing weird and things were off, but you know what? It's gotten better over time. And this auto generates now with dates, and so I can go and look back at all the stuff, and it gives me a nice, easy retrieval. But it also means I've got a corpus of data, and I want to feed that data into an AI and multiply little AI versions of me. It's like Skynet, only bad mode. That's the way I'm thinking of this.
I like it.
I'm a little further off.
I'd probably call it more of a Kevin bot. It's definitely not. It's definitely not you.
Yeah.
You'll have more knowledge than this AI does.
So I have cloned this. So I've cloned the repo preemptively. I have a handful of projects in here. We probably don't care about any of these at the moment.
Not yet. Not yet. We'll get there.
Okay. Where do you want to start? You get to. I'm just the co-pilot who's going to ask dumb questions along the way. Get it, co-pilot?
Yep. I love it.
That's my idea of an AI joke.
I don't even have to type. That's what I really want the AIs for. I don't want to type anymore. I know that seems crazy as a programmer, but we'll get there. So let's start by kind of talking about some of the options we have here, kind of architecture overall, and we may actually start outside of code and take a look at some Azure stuff. So,
guide me, oh great sensei.
Absolutely. So if you scroll down just a little bit, you'll see serverless, so synchronous memory API. So there are really, and I may have undersold this, there are really two ways to run kernel memory. And it, beyond being a framework and a library that you can actually pull in, it is fairly self-sufficient as is as well. And it can run in two modes. First, you can run it like serverless. So that allows you to have it provide synchronous and be used as part of a pipeline. And the other option is to run it async, and you can run it in containers to have it auto scale as you need more queries to be answered.
Okay.
So the first decision would be, do we want to run this as a separate service to not only fill up the document storage, but then also allow for a service to respond to queries to the kernel memory? Or do we want to run this as part of the pipeline?
Yeah, I don't know if I would put those as mutually exclusive unless I have to.
Oh, absolutely.
Because my thought is, if I can build the functions for this, putting it, because running them in the pipeline means I slap a little CLI front end on the front of this, and away we go.
Mm-hmm.
And putting it up as like a containerized service is I put a web API in front of it and I call it a day. The web API gets a little more interesting because I kind of don't want to just leave it completely unauthenticated, and so I have to put something in front of that. So I'm somewhat tempted to lean the other way first, because then it is a little less ripe for abuse currently. But at the point where I get a pretty WPF app in front of this, then I think we do put the API there.
Okay.
Does that change your thinking at all? Because I am sorry, I'm wondering, is this sort of what you were talking about with the OpenAI? Yeah. Kernel memory web service sounds absolutely nuts in the chat. I don't know if you're watching it.
No. I am not actually watching the chat. Give me 1 second. Let me pull that up. I always forget because I don't stream. What can I say?
Yeah, I got to watch them all. Yeah. Good, because we could go with, like, I know this is showing with OpenAI, but I think I have an Azure AI instance up.
Yeah, no, this has Azure OpenAI compatibility built in. Yeah, we're fine there. It really comes down to if we want this to be long-lived, or if we want it to only be for now.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Run.
Okay.
You run it as part of the pipeline as a container in there, or you run it as a service externally, and then you call into it from your pipeline.
Right. But the service could still be transient as long as the data store was persistent. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yeah, we'll still need a persistent data store on the back end of that. And that will include not just a vector database, but also some document storage, as you'll see there, because it keeps track of, a while back we talked about doing sourcing. So having not just your memories, but also being able to source back and being able to track changes in the incoming data. So if you were to upload two of the same documents, if that document changed, it would be able to pick up those changes. Yeah. So this has all of that built in. We just need to configure it correctly.
Fine. Web API it is.
All right.
You want me to spin a project?
API. Yeah, let's spin a project. I'm going back and looking at some of my previous work.
Am I just doing a basic web API?
This? Yes. I think that should cover us.
That is not how you do a web API. That is how you spin a .NET Aspire host, which, might I add, is just frankly amazing. Yeah, let's get out of here, and we're gonna go. Let's put it in a different folder.
Well,
I'm gonna just. I think I'm gonna keep it in my same solution, and I'm just gonna go all wrong and put it in a directory that's parallel my solution rather than underneath it. Because why not?
Absolutely. Before you go too far, let's.
What are you thinking? Because you know me, I'm gonna type if left to my own devices.
Oh, I know. That's the problem. I'm almost thinking it might be worth just. Okay, yeah. Spin up a web API.
Web API. Next. I heard .NET 8. Do I need container support? Nah, I'll roll my own. Do not use top-level statements. Use controllers. Do we care about controllers versus minimal APIs?
I prefer controllers, but it shouldn't really matter now.
Minimal APIs it is. Yay!
Yeah, I knew that was coming. You and minimal APIs.
You said I didn't care. It's the last thing that I heard.
I know, it's my mistake. What can I say?
Hey, look, done. I have API. I win. As long as all I need the API to do is return weather forecast from a randomly generated list, we're good.
There you go.
Poor man's AI.
Poor man's AI.
I don't understand this next. Like, I don't like why? What? Why?
Rainbow or random? I thought that said rainbow for a second. I was like, what?
And the thing is this just generates the next value and then throws it away.
Yeah.
Does a date time? Does nothing with it. Throws it away. Oh wait, hang on. These are going into this is a constructor. Never mind. It's not being thrown away. So this is just generating temps. Okay, I see. I understand now. Okay. This is generating a date, setting the temperature in the summer. Okay. Okay, learn to read. Got it.
It's been a while since I've looked at the default API that comes out of
normally
a new API project.
Yeah, normally I lead with something like this. And then it just goes away. But that's me.
Fair enough.
But we can just code it straight and then I can. Interesting. I'm surprised. This is weird. I'll have to look at this newer one. Okay. Now what? I have created an API. I have reached the end of my area of expertise.
Let's go grab the kernel memory.
Well, I know NuGet link. Okay, so let's go here. Manage NuGet packages. Browse. Kernel memory.
And it's not in pre-release.
Wow. I have lots of choices. Would you like to narrow down when you said grab the kernel memory one to something slightly smaller?
Service, ASP.NET Core.
That guy.
Yep, that one. And we'll come back and grab a few more. Again, I think we talked a little bit about where you want to store your stuff. So we're going to need to determine storage location because they've got, as you can see on the screen right now, Azure Blobs for data storage if you want to use that. They've got that interface already built in.
Yeah. Which kind of I get some of those, but why would I ever pick Azure Blobs, or in this case, I guess document storage versus a database? Because I picture blobs as unstructured.
So, and I'm not going to tell you can't, but the way that it works by default is it uses a folder structure and actual text files as its version history, version retention, and so that's what actually gets stored in there. Your vectors don't. It's not like SQLite for vectors.
Got it. Well, I was gonna say okay.
Totally understand.
Wait. Playwright for kernel memory. Sorry, I'm just putting this on the side. This is my read later thing because one, those two things together sounds absolutely amazing. And I'm terrified.
What would you use it for? Tell me all about it.
I mean, my
scraping the web.
Well, my default setting is if the AI can do my UI test for me, that sounds really cool. It feels like what Cucumber test wanted to be, right? Where I write natural language and test occurs.
Okay, you're thinking at it from that perspective.
Yeah.
Interesting. I thought you were talking about it just determining how to do tests.
Oh.
And I was like, I don't know if we're there yet. Or what tests should be done.
But it would be nice to have a test where it's hey, I go to GitHub, I click the login button, I type in this username and password, and then say, and go.
Yeah, that would be nice. It definitely reduces the typing a bit.
Yeah. Okay.
Which I guess what I was all about. So yeah.
So we might want to do Azure portal stuff, right? Is what we're saying.
I think so. I think that's where we're at.
So okay.
Before we go too much farther, we were going to talk about architecture, and then we talked a little bit about architecture and fell right back into code.
Yeah,
happens every time.
I know. See, I'm bad at this. Okay, so here we go. Sorry, I had to kind of switch gears a little bit and make sure I was in the right place. So
Totally understand.
we're gonna do a resource group Kaboo bot. I don't know if you care where I put it.
I mean, we're in the West Coast, so I prefer the West Coast, but I don't know where your viewership is.
I mean, this is one of those things that needs to be great for all of the users of this, which roughly equate to me. And I checked with all of my stakeholders, which are me, and they said that the West US
All
is great.
thumbs up.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good to me.
Okay, so you want Postgre. Yeah?
I would say we should go with Postgres. The nice thing with Postgres is that you really don't need anything else until you actually get to large scale. Postgres is super flexible with all the extensions and everything. I mean, what we're going to use it for now, obviously a PG vector, so a vector database, but it can also do time series, basically anything that you could want to do with a normal or most specialized databases. The only exception, or the biggest exception in my head, is GraphDB right now. But give it another year, and I'll bet you'll have an extension for it.
Perfect. So Azure database, yeah, this one here.
You can do that, or there's also flexible servers. I don't know if that's under there or if it's separate on this page. It's been a while since
I saw it show up when I did this, so I'm assuming. You want to give me a rough breakdown? What's the difference? Is flexible more like the...
Flexible is more like a DTU type spend, if I'm not mistaken, and the other one is dedicated.
Got it. I heard flexible. That's probably good for us right now.
Yeah.
Let's see. Server name. Why do you want to be in the East US? I know. Oh, I'm not allowed to provision there. I might have to go East US for my...
Oh, wow.
I'm not allowed to provision in the East US. Where am I allowed to provision? Okay, we're good.
That's surprising.
Nah, not completely. If you're on a lower tier account like me, you have provisioning restrictions. But West US 3 works. Okay.
All right, cool.
16 appears to be latest. I'm going to make us development mode unless you have a reason that we should be production. It looks like the biggest thing is your compute power of whether you're a B tier or a D tier.
Yeah.
So
it'll be plenty.
We will go there. Availability zones. No preference. Sounds great. High availability, disable. We do not need high availability for this.
Standard tier.
Ooh.
Oh, they do have Entra now. That's fantastic.
Yes, please. One moment.
Yep,
One
absolutely.
moment. I'm going to do some usery stuff. So stand by while I set me as the admin.
Good plan.
Okay. Great. I gotta be... This is the only sucky part about doing this, is I gotta be real careful not to expose something.
Yeah.
So do keep an eye out on my screen for when I've done something bad. Let's see. So we'll do public access for now.
Yeah, I mean, you end up having to roll your own GitHub runners if you don't.
Well, I can private link and all kinds of stuff through. So this will be like, this one here often allows you to bypass the GitHub runner problem if you go with hosted.
Oh,
because
okay.
They're in Azure, so they count as Azure service. So you can...
They are.
Yeah, it's like you're...
That is pretty convenient.
There's a browser extension that will blur Azure secrets. Ooh.
Is there really?
Loka, throw me a link in there. I've tried 2 or 3 of them that I found, and I have not found one that works well enough for me. So if you've got a good one, drop a link to it, please, because I'd be very interested in it. The ones I've tried have been intermittent at best. So, but I would love to have one where I could just feed it a bunch of like list of secrets and say, if you see this, just like delete it from the DOM. Like I almost wrote a Fiddler extension one day to just rip through the HTML on its way down and strip it out. Let's see, server managed key. That sounds great. Tags, don't need any. Yeah, send it. It estimates 1241 a month. I think we can afford this.
It's pretty inexpensive.
Yeah. Given that this has got an MSDN subscription with some buffer room, we'll be
Just a few bucks in there.
just a couple. Just a couple. Okay, I don't know how long this thing takes to deploy, but should we jump somewhere while that guy's? I'll put him over here. He can wait.
Yeah. So next piece obviously is we're going to need to get vectors or embeddings for each piece of memory that we're going to be saving. So we should probably talk about what we want to do for embeddings. There's a couple different options.
Hit me.
Azure Postgres, first of
Okay.
all, Azure Postgres announced, I believe, at Build this year, has gotten internal embeddings. So you can have it generate its own embeddings. It does it all on the same server, so there's no need for an external service, which is pretty sweet. I want to say they're 1/5, 1/6 the size of standard OpenAI Ada 2 embeddings.
So when you real quick, when you say that much of the size, so because for people's reference, vectors or embeddings are just turning text into a string of numbers. So if you're familiar with like drawing lines and graphing, if you have lots of dimensions. So when we say size, we're talking number of data points, number of dimensions, basically.
Yeah. So with OpenAI Ada 2, I want to say there's 2148 or 1016. I don't remember off the top of my head. There's some, no, 1532, I want to say, dimensions in the embedding. And yeah, as you were saying, it's really just an array of numbers, a vector, that instead of being 3 or 4 dimensional is high dimensional, or has numerous dimensions. And each one of those is a floating point number. So it'll put it into this hyperdimensional space as a coordinate functionally. And then when I say that it's about 1/5 or 1/6 the size, what I'm really saying is that it's got that uh, sub factor of dimensions. So 1/5 the dimensions of the Ada 2 model.
Right. So saying that a point in two-dimensional space is 33% reduction in size than a point in three-dimensional space.
Exactly.
And then your brain starts to hurt when we start talking about 1500 dimensions.
And I mean, it would seem, since these are abstract dimensions. For those of you unfamiliar with embeddings, let me give just a quick little rundown. One of the easiest ways that I've seen to kind of explain it, and I give credit to our coworker Clayton, though I don't know if he got it from someone else, is to think about just a 2D, two-dimensional array, or not array, but plane. From or on your x-axis, it goes from masculine to feminine, and on your y-axis, it goes from royal to peasant. And so you can imagine that if you were to do an embedding for queen, it would end up being very feminine and very royal. Yeah, we should. I really wish I'd thought about this earlier, but I didn't. I didn't get anything set up with you earlier.
Peasant.
Yep.
Like I don't know if I got this order
male,
right.
male, female, actually.
So hang on. You're gonna make me do this over again. Sorry. What are the
Oh,
dimensions
no,
you
see.
want?
Do royal to peasant on the y-axis and male to female on the x-axis.
Royal, peasant on the y-axis, and
Exactly.
male to female on the x-axis, right? And so queen is like somewhere up here, right?
Yep.
So
exactly.
Queen lives in this coordinate.
And you can imagine that king would live in the top left, and serf, which if I'm not mistaken, is genderless for in most contexts, would be very peasant, but would not be masculine or feminine. So it'd be near the bottom of the y-axis.
So it'd be down here.
Exactly. And then you could have like a maid, and a maid would be female and less royal. Maybe not all the way down to the bottom, but somewhere in there.
Somewhere higher up. Depends on who you're made
Exactly.
for, maybe.
Maybe. Um, so this would be an embedding of those words. Um, and the vectors would be like 1, 1 or 0.331. Um, and so imagining it this way is somewhat of a misnomer. It just becomes a really good way to illustrate the idea. But these are not really dimensions that are defined, at least not defined in ways that we really understand. Um, it's not that one of these, 1,500 dimensions is male, female. I mean, it could be, but we don't really know. And so when you think of the context of like going down in dimensions, you immediately think that, oh, it's going to have less performance because it's going to have less ways to describe something, especially more than one word, where you're capturing the semantic meaning of multiple words in a sentence or a paragraph. Um, but it's not actually always the case. As with LLMs, you generally see more performance with a larger set of parameters, but you do have some with smaller parameters or lower number of parameters that are also competing at the same level as those larger models. And this is the same thing where you actually have some of these newer embedding models, because OpenAI's Ada 2 is actually fairly old at this point, and relatively speaking, within the context of AI, especially recently, it's a couple 3, 4 years old, I want to say.
Which is ancient, considering a new one seems to drop every couple months.
Exactly. But what we've seen fairly recently is, I want to say it's Cohere put out an embedding model that is 1/3 dimensions, but actually performs slightly better than Ada 2. So again, it really comes down to options for us to think about on size, how we want to actually architect with an external service for embeddings, or just keep it in the database. And it's something you can experiment with. We could go with one direction and then set up another version, do some A/B testing between the two to see if we get better performance, or even run full on benchmarks against it later on. We might have to develop our own benchmark. I don't know how well it's going to be able to answer specific Kibo questions, but
Very
we'll see.
simple. What is the best drink? That
Mountain
that
Dew.
is test
There you
question
go.
number one, and I will accept
Fair enough.
Mountain Dew, or MTN Dew, or just Dew. I will accept any of those as correct answers.
Would you have maybe have said like Baja Blast in the past though?
That's a good point. I guess you make a good
Live Wire.
you
I
make a
don't
good.
know.
Oh man, I missed my live wire. Okay, so I will accept Mountain Dew or any specific variants thereof.
All right, fantastic. I think we can definitely do that. So on that, um, I think probably the best way to start, not only A, because it's the one that I'm the most familiar with, but also B, it gives additional outside context to the viewers. We should probably just go with Ada 2. It's pretty simple to set up because you get it through your OpenAI or Azure OpenAI service, or you can do it from OpenAI themselves as well through their services. Uh, and you do it externally, so we'll have to call out to it, kind of put it into our workflow. So it gives more context, I think.
Okay, seems
So
reasonable. Our database is almost done deploying. We've got firewall rules going out now,
fantastic.
so I imagine it's getting close.
Yeah. Do you want to? I don't know if you want to roll up or spin up a new one, or if you have one that you want to be using for this, an OpenAI or Azure OpenAI service. But we could probably get started there.
Azure OpenAI service. Let's hang on. Let me sign in this guy again. Let's spin a new one for this, because I was gonna keep this all separated. That way it doesn't pollute some of my other projects. That way when I'm done, if this all goes belly up, I can just throw
Burn
away
it to the ground.
Yeah. So let's do here.
All right.
Do-do-do. Azure AI. Now, if it, oh, dang it, that's not what I want. I want to go create button. Azure AI. This better hit immediately. Oh, I'm sorry. It's probably Azure OpenAI, isn't it?
It is.
Okay, there we go. Boom.
There we go.
Let's see. Resource group. Name. See if it'll let me go west again. I think pricing tier. I heard standard was great, considering that is the choice. Let's see. Can access this resource. I think that's fine. It's still authenticated, right? I can't remember. We may have to change the networking settings on this in a moment.
Alrighty.
We'll see how it goes. Okay, so that guy is deployed. We got all kinds of stuff going. Okay,
Perfect.
Well, here, I'll bring this back now. Our Postgres deployment is complete.
Fantastic.
Resource. And then I might have to be a little careful here in a moment and just make sure, because I'm guessing this connect thing, I probably don't want to click on that while this is on this screen.
I would say in general, no, but I think if I'm not mistaken, they auto hide it and then you have to unhide it.
Yeah, hang on.
They've gotten better with that kind of stuff.
Proofread it. Yeah, they're much better. Okay, cool. So, awesome. Your password. Yep. So that's better. Like, it's technically exposing the host name, but whatever. We're about to do that in code anyway.
Yep.
Not too concerned. If I need to, like I said, this is all in a resource group. I can burn it to the ground if something goes wrong.
Yes, you can. So it's good you brought us here because we are going to have to add the PG vector add-in or extension.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I vaguely remember something about that. Isn't it like just extensions here?
No, it's under. That's a sub to server parameters, I want to say. That load up.
Okay.
Yep.
And then go here. No. What do I search? PG
underscore extension, I want to say.
Sorry, just underscore extension?
Maybe just extension. Been a while since I've done this. Give me one moment. Let me take a look.
Okay. What I heard is scroll. Oh, we don't want to scroll. I just looked at the number of results.
Can't. You can't.
I mean,
scroll.
I can. Like 432 is a possible number.
Try just PG underscore vector.
PG.
Because if I'm. Why? There may be a setting that you have to do to pull in extensions. Let's see here.
Oh, hang on. Isn't there?
Oh, Azure dot extensions in that server parameters. Yeah, here, Azure dot extensions.
Azure dot.
There we go.
There
of course.
We go. Okay.
Nothing's ever easy.
If it were easy, anyone could do it. And I want the
PG vector, all one word, I want to say. No PG vector. Oh, vector. There we go. Yeah.
On. Save.
Perfect.
Think about what it said. Okay. OpenAI is up.
Awesome. All right. Well, we can go configure OpenAI real quick if you want.
Great. What would you like to do with the OpenAI service?
Let's go to Azure OpenAI Studio. And once we're in there, we'll provision a Ada 2 instance or endpoint. Can't remember how do they refer to them.
People unfamiliar with this. Effectively, we need something to take the fancy AI model and actually do the running. That's what this is.
Yes.
It's also a great place to just play around and test this stuff out because I've done a ton in here and it is awesome. Like,
oh yeah, they've added a ton of just ability to test things and experience different technologies around this space, obviously, in here and in Azure AI Studio, um, the non-OpenAI side, where they have a whole model library with some 3,000 or 1,500 or in the thousands of models that you can deploy and run workloads against or just test out.
We care what we call this?
I don't think so.
Bot embeddings.
Sounds good to me. Dash embeddings, underscore embeddings, anything, or just one word embeddings. It doesn't matter to me.
That feels hard to read. That's a lot of characters put together, and I'm bad at reading.
It is a few.
This rate limit. Am I the only one that thinks that this is insane?
I mean, if you're running this
feels high
outside, like
corresponding requests per minute. I guess 720 requests per minute isn't that hard to hit.
It's not that huge.
Okay. Well,
and really that's just an estimate based on the tokens.
Oh, that's a good point. Oh, your screen brightness is high.
It is very high. Give me 1 second. I can turn it down. Either way. I was a little bright. It's funny how much different it feels because I'm looking at myself with the green screen, and with the green there, it doesn't feel like it's that bright. Yeah. Maybe it's because the green is so bright.
Well, I think it's because you're on a white background too. It doesn't help opening up this.
Yeah,
I have so many lights pointed at me. It doesn't matter what color my screen is.
Yeah.
The light in my room is not coming from my monitors. Let's put it that way. Okay, we are up.
Perfect.
Okay, so embeddings are up. The
Postgres is up.
Postgres is up.
Fantastic.
That's the extensions. Okay, so did we need to do anything with this deployment, or are we just going to let this thing sit for the moment?
We're just going to let it sit for the moment. We'll come back.
Connect to it later. Yep.
Absolutely, sir.
Feedback. Not right now, Azure. I'm busy. Okay.
You go sit over here. Things.
Okay, now what?
I think the last thing, actually, because I forgot. Sorry. Storage account.
Darn you. Okay, fine.
I know. I just thought of it as you moved the screen.
Here, create. That I am qualified for this one. I got this one.
All right.
See,
I trust you.
You go dark as soon as I put up a dark screen thing. Like.
Oh yeah. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can. I might have a fix for that. Just give me 1 moment here.
Okay. Let's see. Standard. I do not need anything fancy. This is demo mode, so LRS sounds great.
Almost fell there.
So for people who care on the storage account, the difference between geo-redundant and locally redundant. Locally redundant means if the Azure data center gets hit by a meteorite, my data is gone and I'm screwed. For people who actually care about that level of resiliency, you should definitely make your data geo-redundant. Put it in 2 data centers. It's a lot more secure because the odds of both data centers going down at the same time to some major catastrophic instance is low. Very low. And more importantly, if multiple Azure data centers go down at the same time, I probably have other problems. I'm not going to be carried about my missing data. Okay, Casey, I got you a storage account, and I've named everything the same, so that's not going to cause any confusion whatsoever.
No, it'll be fine.
It's actually kind of fun having a resource group where all the resources in it are named identically, where they only differ by type and icon. That actually excites me a little bit.
The consistency.
Yeah, I like it. There's something nice when vertical lines line up. Oh, wow.
I can understand that.
You did teach yourself a nice bright light. Icons are important.
Did.
Absolutely. Hang on, I'm testing you on. Yeah. You look about the same.
Cool. All right, then. So now that we've got all those, let's go back to Visual Studio, and we'll get some more NuGet packages.
Kevin likes Excel. Lines are all vertical. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, what do you want me to grab? Because you said some of these we wanted, right?
Yep. There should be a...
OpenAI, maybe?
I think they have, AI Azure OpenAI. Down 2.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Since we are not going to OpenAI themselves. And then there's the storage blobs one.
Well, so we want the document one. Yeah, because the
Yes.
Azure blobs one is deprecated. So we want this one instead.
Yep.
Okay.
And then there should be a Postgres one as well.
Let's see. This guy here. Install.
Yes.
How do I... Hang on. Why is one of these things showing needing an update already? I just spun this project. Oh, Swashbuckle's out of date. Okay. Sorry. My OCD insists that I update all packages immediately.
I can understand that.
Okay. I got a bunch of packages. I've installed a bunch of stuff.
Fantastic. Alrighty.
Okay.
Well,
rock and roll. What do I do now?
Well, you probably get rid of all this weather stuff, since I don't think we're going to be telling the weather with the
We don't know
the
that
AI.
yet.
I mean, not yet. We could add weather features later, but
Weather forecast return.
I don't think you typically talk about the weather on your
AI
streams,
is
right?
better. I mean, sometimes I talk about the weather, like there's been rain outside. There's been power outages and wind.
Is it important to you that somebody's able to ask the question like, when was the last time that the stream was disrupted by a thunderstorm? Or when was the last time that Kevin answered, what's the temperature outside? And is it hotter today?
That's a good question. I guess the only other thing is weather does affect my AC unit kicking on, which screws with my audio. So, there's that. But hopefully not for long. Once I move, that problem hopefully goes away.
But it wouldn't be important for the AI to get up-to-date weather that case.
That is true.
It's only important if it's in reference to a previous time versus the current time. And yeah, I don't know if we want to. I don't know if I want to do that.
There, I'm leaving that endpoint because it's useful. But Copilot has decided that weather is really, really important.
Yeah.
With a when every starter project implementation than the default. Excellent. For reference, this is bad for people. Don't do new random. Random.shared. Okay. Now that we've got our C# tip. Okay. Where do I go first? Do we need an endpoint for something?
Right. So, first let's start with services. Let's start getting your memory set up and everything there.
Okay.
So let's go add a memory serverless, I want to say. No. Memory service. There we go. Memory service. That's what I was looking for.
Okay. Sorry. Done.
No worries.
So I need memory service?
Yes, you'll need a kernel memory service. Yes. There you go.
Does this guy come with something, or is he just literally just injecting him straight? It does come with an iKernel memory. Huh. But I am gonna need to new him up with some stuff. Okay.
Yes.
We'll start with that. So what am I doing here? I have a pipeline orchestrator, a search client, and a config. And I feel lost and confused.
You're going to want, I believe you're going to want a pipeline orchestrator. So this is going to control what the kind of the steps in order when you bring in new data. So let's say you upload a new video, new subtitles show up in your Markdown Git repo, and this picks it up. It would go through the orchestrator or use the orchestrator to orchestrate the ingestion of that new data.
Got it. What do I use here?
What do you use there?
Sorry, for my orchestrator.
Yes. Let me take 1 second here. Take a look.
Yeah, because I was trying to find a good one. But the two that it looks like it comes with, like the in-process one, already hates me because it's got a KEMEXPO. I do love whoever did this. They copied from Roslyn and didn't put the right link in, which makes me feel weird.
That's right. Okay, so 1 second. We're gonna go back just a tiny bit.
Okay.
Forgot about the way that this is set up, or you might actually be doing this without. Sorry, give me 1 moment here.
You're fine. I'm reorganizing my tabs. I got stuff open. Just killing some stinks. I'm assuming I actually want to do my kernel memory via builder.
Yes.
So this looks like builder pattern.
Yes, that was what I was trying to find.
And then I am going
from before.
I'm going to do something fun.
You're gonna do some.
I'm gonna just set up my user secrets.
Nice.
And then I am going to move this off the screen for a moment while I open my user secrets, because that's now going to be tied to something else. I'm going to put that secrets file on a different screen so I don't accidentally pop it up. Now it's going to go, now I can edit my user secrets without accidentally exposing them. Okay, we're good.
Perfect.
We got user secrets. For anybody who wants to go look at my subtitle generator stuff, it's there. You just can't run it without populating a bunch of secrets. And no, I will not be sharing those.
Why not though, Ken?
I know. I have this twitchy thing about accidentally, exposing my secrets. Like, it feels bad. Okay, like so this guy here, this is going memory serverless.
Memory serverless.
And it says, by design, this class is hard-coded to use the in-process pipeline orchestrator, which seems fine to me, hence the name serverless, which is kind of a misnomer, but I get it.
Yes.
The class access is direct to storage vectors AI. Okay, and then what is this? Explicit type. Memory serverless. And memory serverless is a iKernel memory. So I think what I actually kind of want to do is this. I have no idea the lifetime of this. So what I heard is singletons are cool.
Singletons
until you tell me they aren't thread safe or something. I have no idea. This is for me.
I don't think you have an issue. Yeah. So yes, service add singleton memory. Yes. We're also going to need to do some additional configuration on your memory, if I'm not mistaken, to your kernel.
Okay. Keep going. I'm just gonna configure some stuff.
All right, you've got your build. Perfect. You want to add some plugins to your memory as well.
Okay.
This will be.
Ooh, look at that. There's a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of stuff you can add.
Wish my built-in memory in my head was as good. with custom web scraper. Oh, this feels like something way too powerful for me to have. This does not feel like power I should have at my fingertips. Okay, what do you want me to add?
So, so we're gonna need Postgres memory. There we go. Perfect.
And I'm gonna at some point need to put in a real connection string. I assume that's what that is.
Yep. And then the OpenAI default is going to need to be changed. I think they have a with Azure OpenAI default. If not, we'll have to configure it manually.
With Azure OpenAI.
Text embeddings generation. Yep.
And then if that ain't right, so it wants a
config, right?
Yeah, but it's all optional, which is surprising to me.
Yeah, because there are defaults for
But how do
the
it
majority
know?
of it.
How do it know? Is it going to use like my AZ login account stuff to run? Kind of want to. I want to see what's on this.
I think it would do a fallback. So it'd first try to check your is it?
Oh, look
No,
at
it's
that!
not
It's got
environment
API
variables
key,
first.
API type,
Yeah.
auth, endpoint. I think we're going to give it an API key. Is that okay?
I think so.
All right. So I gotta pull out.
And I think you might need API endpoint as well, because that will be individual per deployment of or per endpoint for embeddings.
String. Okay. I gotta pull some stuff out of here. Configuration. This. Do this. This is going to be configuration. Azure. AI.
See, and once you go to this extent, I'm surprised you didn't want to start with just using the one that they pre-canned.
What do you mean?
Azure OpenAI config. I want to say it's called.
This thing?
Oh, yeah. Duh. Never mind. I'm thinking backwards.
Open AI key. Open AI endpoint. Except for you should spell endpoint properly. Then I'm going to go over here and I'm going to just create a little JSON. So AI. So I want to create something that has Postgres connection string. And let's see. Open AI key. I love how Copilot is trying to fill in my key for me. That would be creepy if it got it correctly.
Yeah, that would be worrisome, to say the least.
Okay, so give me one moment. I need to go look all of these things up real quick.
Yep.
In the portal, and then I will plug those in. And then it Yes, because I have a default builder which will pull the user secrets file of the GUID that I put up here, which is my existing one that I'm sharing across all my projects. Okay, we're good. Sorry. Mental leaps had to be done.
No worry.
Okay, so I'm going to go here and I'm going to just drag that sucker away. And let's see here. I need view endpoints. There is my endpoint. And let's see, we have a couple keys, so we will copy one of them. And then I need to go to my database. What are we using the storage account for, and why do I not have a extension for it?
The storage account is used to store the version history. So as it goes through, it runs hashes against the different contents or the different chunks of content, and then uses that along with a um, specific file path set up in the storage account um, to track versioning between files.
I am a little confused.
Yes.
I don't know how to specify this connection string for, because we set it up with Microsoft Entra authentication, and
That is
I
true. We
don't
did.
actually know the shape of the connection string. It is not.
There may be
They're
another
little.
option
They're
in
little. Oh,
there.
there is. I could do the Postgres connection stuff as well.
Oh no, I mean within the library. I would be surprised if that wasn't uh, added into the Postgres
Well, it's just got a Postgres
service.
config. We can look at what that is.
Yeah, let's go take a look at that real quick.
Um, what do you offer me? Because I assume connections. So it's got to be
Oh,
so
it's
with
kind of
like
surprising.
Azure, well, with Azure SQL, you still specify a connection string. You just like username and password aren't things in it. You tell it the mode is Azure default authentication, I think is what it is, or similar,
Oh yeah,
and then
that's true.
it just goes. So I am looking.
Let's see,
I'm
intra.
looking for where I do view connection strings. I'm very happy. Very confused that it. Connect from weather. Connect from your app. There we go. Let's see here.
It is nice that they break those out in
Yeah, well,
there.
here I can just put this on screen. Um, because you'll note it gives me lovely connection strings. But I'm gonna go out on a limb and guess that my user ID is probably not undefined. I
Probably
I don't
not.
think it is.
Probably not.
Um, that would be weird.
Would be a little strange.
Um, how do I create a connection string that uses Hey Copilot, do all the work for me. Obtain necessary credentials. Okay, Copilot, I think you're missing the point.
So take a look at this. I think is what you're going to want to look at.
Integrated security 2.
And
Involves setting up necessary.
I shot you something in the chat.
Oh, thank
I
you.
think that's what you're going to want to take a look at.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
With
Absolutely.
authentication tapes, .NET. Huzzah. Default environment variables. So it still wants the username then at least. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I can populate a connection string that looks kind of like that. Standing by.
Wunderbar.
And then okay, so that's there, and now I just need to grab my sorry. Was this helpful? No, thank you, Copilot. You were not
Rough.
helpful. Go back to your hole and think about what you've done. Okay,
Rough.
so I need Oh, it wants the server name. Great. It wants the database name, which I don't know what we called it. Right? Postgres.
Kibu Postgres? Kibu
No,
bot Postgres.
no, that's a server. Let's see, and then we set up SSL mode. And then the only thing that's mildly interesting is the username. Okay, so that gets me there. I think I have it configured. The only thing I want to do really quick is I have a sinking suspicion it's going to try to use my AZ credentials. So let me just make sure I'm logged into the right account. There's
Absolutely.
a very real chance that I'm logged in with the wrong account. Oh. Speaking of people coming up with the wrong account. Okay, there's that. Authentication failed against. I'm sorry, what? It
Didn't
logged
like it.
in. Yeah, it's being dumb. So
Wait,
I was kind of wondering who was going to do this.
is it logging in? Is it logging in as you, or is it logging in as a?
Well, it's logging in as the right email and then trying, yeah, but then hitting the wrong subscription. So I just need to do
Yeah.
the right one. And then it should. And then I would like to be on number 2 from that list. Okay, AZ account show. Okay, I am now logged into the appropriate account, set to the appropriate subscription. World's a happy place again.
Fantastic.
Okay. We have connection string. We have all the happy things. We have keys. We are good. Now what? I have memory, which is better than what I have in real life.
You have memory.
Memory is the
Let's
key.
take a look at file storage. So, with before your build, do a dot with, and I can't remember all the options. We don't want simple file storage. I think I want to say it's blob file storage.
Blob document storage.
There we go. So we'll configure that. Look at that. It gave a pretty reasonable.
It did, aside from the
effort.
Aside from the fact that there isn't a method that takes a string, so there's that.
It's a reasonable effort. Like I said, it's not perfect.
And this is the AI that we're trusting, huh?
No, this is not. We're going to use a different model.
Okay, so I need a blob connection string is what it now wants me to make.
And again, I mean, the biggest problem here is that this AI doesn't have access to all of the corpus of Kevin's streams. So
you make a good
that's the real
point.
problem.
So if the AI just had access to all of my brain, this would be much simpler.
Yep. We'd already be done. I mean, really.
I mean, that is an excellent point. Thank you. Let's see here. I need connection strings. I'm going to copy that guy out and put him in there. Okay, blob connection string has been created.
Great. Let's see. Is there any other options under the Azure Blobs config?
Let's see here. We've got account key, auth, container. Do you want to set the container name?
We should probably set a container.
What do you wish the container? Do I need to should I spin the container?
You should spin the container.
Okay. Let's see. So here's the storage account. blob containers. We shall add the container, and hang on, I got this.
Beautiful name.
Because I literally don't know any other name to use tonight. This is going to be the fuchsia of tonight.
All right. It'll be fuchsia everywhere, all the time.
We have a container.
All right. So we've got your container configured. We've got your memory DB configured and your OpenAI embeddings configured. Perfect. So, let's start digging into the actual memory pipeline. So, memorizing a document. That is.
I don't want to memorize documents. That's a lot of work.
I mean, nobody wants to. We all have to at some point, right? Anyways, let's open up a. I'm trying to remember how this is handled. Give me one moment here.
That is okay. You think I'm going to just make an endpoint. Don't mind me. You do a lambda. That's how you do it.
That would be why.
Do count divided by stream ID. Oh, dear heavens. I think it's still a positive number. I think. I feel like I generally consume more than one do per stream.
Yeah. I mean, I'm already at 2. Well, 1.5. I was already halfway through. So going back to your AI services.
Stream ID.
Let's just. What?
All right.
Oh, stream chat again. I know. I'm sorry. I don't have enough screens.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I was getting something. Just wanted to make sure we had something working.
Perfect.
So the good news is
AI is better.
Casey has informed me that AI is better.
Now you know, kids. Let's start with just default handlers. So I guess we won't need to add anything else there. Simple queues pipeline. Yeah. Dot with simple queues pipeline.
Great.
And this will do. Oh, there's options there. Never used the options in there.
There's a config and there's a directory. What is the directory used for here?
Actually, no. This is actually tricking my brain. Just don't set anything. Yeah.
I mean, I can get away with not setting anything. We're gonna fall into the empty config case. Should we look at what's on the config?
Yes.
Storage type volatile, the best type.
Yes.
And
so what this is it's the queues for like ingesting memory.
Okay.
So as you request things, it just stores it in memory instead of on disk or in some other storage.
Got it. Okay. So highly volatile.
That should be it, at least for the time being. We may need to do some customizations on handlers, things like chunking, partitioning, saving, if we want to make changes there. But I think we can start with the default and hopefully just fall into the pit of success and then make edits from there.
Okay. Seems reasonable to me. I'm going to test to make sure we can instantiate. Oh, no, we can't. Because it wants me to actually do something with stream ID. So we're just going to. I wasn't using stream ID anywhere.
That's a whole other thing.
Let's see. Input parameters of the service or apply the. Oh.
from body.
No, from services.
Ah.
I don't think you get your memory from your body, Casey. Duh. You
Do
get
you
your
know where
memory
your
from a
brain
service.
is, Kevin? Come on.
Try it out. Okay. Oh,
Has been registered.
yeah. So it turns out that if you write the extension method and then don't invoke it,
Don't inject.
it doesn't do anything. So
it doesn't, in fact, know what it is.
yeah. So it turns out that we should probably invoke our extension method. We should probably make it an extension method.
That would probably get to.
Like, I have a feeling those two things will probably go a long way to helping us.
One would hope.
This is why I just simple endpoint, right? Do it work?
Do the thing.
Okay. Deployment name is empty. So OpenAI config wants a deployment name. So let's go back here. Let's see here. Deployment, and then this is going to be the name of that deployment from here.
Yes.
So
the unique name.
This guy here. So this is where this actually now matters. Yeah.
Yep.
We grab him.
That is correct.
Put him in. Rinse, repeat, try again.
I believe so.
And
money? No money yet.
Let's see. Unable to resolve I text generator. So
oh yeah. It's because of the simple pipeline.
We need to do something to make it happy, because I agree with it. I did not register an iText generator, nor do I know how to register it.
You did not. And I thought you could get away without registering one, but I guess I am wrong. Answers and summaries. Okay, yeah. Azure OpenAI text generation. You will have to spin up a deployment for that. We can start with like a 3.5.
All right, so you want to go here, right?
Correct.
And then this is going to be what? Text?
Or chat.
Chat. Great. And we want, you said like a GPT 3.5 something or another?
Yep.
Let's see. Select a different
Oh, I think you can turn down your rate on your embeddings model.
Got it. Because it tried to take all of the quota, and I want you to have.
Yeah, we'll start with that. Okay. I think that is your problem, though.
New deployment. Chat. Let's see.
Drop down the provision managed. Do you have options there? You do not have options there.
Do I just need a different model?
I wouldn't think so, but try. Hold on, let me.
Oh, hang on, 4.0. Much happier about 4.0. Let's see. And what do I want for my deployment type on this? Which one of these? See, this is what I don't like about these. I'm guessing standard is cheaper than global standard, but is provision managed greater than global?
I believe so, yes. Because provision managed, I believe, is you have your own separate deployment as opposed to, I believe that the majority of these actually pool when you actually send in requests.
Okay. I got one of these suckers now.
Very nice.
Model retirement date. Wow, they already have retirement dates figured out. Excellent.
Okay. That means there's more goodness coming down the pipeline. At least that's what it says to me.
I mean, by next year, I imagine that these things are like ancient grandfather models. Like we're on GPT 18 point something or whatever. Okay, so where do I get this text generation? Was it text generator? I assume
it's gonna be another with under your kernel memory.
Oh, this says without text generator.
Oh,
Hang on. Theory.
you might be able to do that.
Let's
Yeah,
just try that. I don't.
that might have been what I missed. Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay.
Hey,
No, don't get excited yet.
come on. Nope. Different though.
Authentication type unknown.
No. For Azure Blob.
Undefined. So I'm guessing on this auth. Connection string.
There we go.
That will probably fix that one. It bothers me that they did a nested enum under their config type because that just looks funny, but whatever.
Yeah.
Memory is the key!
I prefer it over magic strings, though. It's at least a little bit nicer. You know, you don't have to know the magic string. You get some autocomplete.
I want to type this.
I mean, yeah.
I'm lazy. I mean, yes,
yeah.
I can using static my way into that, but yeah.
You're not a using static guy?
No, I am. It's just having to do it for stuff like this makes me annoyed.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay.
And then you've got embeddings.
So we actually now hit all the way through on our endpoint. So we got a kernel memory instance back.
All right.
So
that is good.
I now have a method with a kernel memory. What should we do with it besides returning a well-known string?
Well, let's start with just and this is why I do controllers, because I'm so it throws me off to look at
I'm gonna convince you that these things are better.
It just throws me off. Start however you make a normal web API in this weird world of not having different classes. Do that. Do the thing.
Okay, I've done that. This is your controller method right here. What would you like in your controller method?
You've already got your services all set up. You pulled in the service.
Yep.
Perfect.
I got kernel memory right here. What do you want to do with it?
So
see how easy that was?
Let's first start with kernel or memory dot ingest or dot import document async. That's the one I'm looking for.
Import document async. Import text async. Oh, this looks like so much fun. Document upload request. I want a new one of those, don't I?
Yes.
Document upload request. Okay. What does a document upload request have? It has a document. Could have probably guessed that. Let's see. So files. How many files can I? Okay.
So you can. The hierarchy is a little bit weird, and it's been a while since I looked at it, and so I do not remember it off the top of my head. But there is a hierarchy. So a document, while it sounds like it's one file, in the context of this is multiple files. So you could put your subtitles as a document, but I would not. Actually, you could. We'll do it for now.
What I heard is hard code the directory immediately.
That's what I did.
Okay.
All right.
Now, do I want to send everything? We're gonna rename it to ingest.
So.
You spell it. You spell ingest. Gee, see, this is why a spell checker is important. Okay. So sorry, you were talking about the files.
Yeah. So you'll need the files. I think we'll have to give it a document ID, which will be a name for it.
They really like their nested classes.
They do. Devis went to town on this
File
one.
name, file content. And it wants a stream.
Yes.
Oh.
You can, yeah.
Huh.
As you dig deeper and deeper, you'll see some more of the
How
power
this
that I just don't even
this
remember to
this
say.
feels like power that I shouldn't have, because now I could do something like, oh buddy, files, select, new
Oh man.
document, upload request, upload file, right? And then I can feed it a file name, which is X, or how about path, get file name of X. And then I don't know if it's file, open, read. Now, this is probably bad. Partially because this is going to open up a bunch of file handles, and I don't know if it's going to properly close them or not. Because I'm just arbitrarily throwing a stream at it. Is it going to terminate the stream? It's going to hold the file handle open? I have no idea. I have no idea.
I want to say it terminates the stream.
I'm going to hope so, because we're going for it. Because otherwise we're going to link where x dot, let's see, path, get extension, .mb. Just gonna filter. I don't think there's anything other than markdown files in this folder, but in the event that I'm wrong, I would like to not accidentally ingest everything. We go up, over, down, and I think these are all just markdown files. And then for purposes of sanity, there's an iDisposable code analyzer. Yeah, I'm aware of that, but this API takes in the stream, so it's very possible that this guy handles terminating it once the upload's complete, because he then owns the stream. The difficulty is knowing if that's the case or not. Oh, what does this constructor do? Document file. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so like you were saying, the document could contain multiple files. Interesting. Okay. So we'll do that. We'll do this. We'll go with await. Casey, you want to know how to make this async? Done.
Woo! Very nice.
Okay, so we're gonna do this.
I still don't like it.
Can is there a benefit to firing everything, or is there a benefit to doing something like this and just dialing it down a little bit?
Well, we'll have turnaround time that's faster by dialing it down.
I like faster turnaround. In fact, I think I'm gonna
go either way, though.
I think I'm gonna go a little further, and I'm gonna do it up here, right? And I'm gonna do this. That way I can. That way here I can just do this, right? So this way I can kind of be intelligent about it, right? And then just we're gonna force iteration so I can see it. Okay. Anything else, or do a full? Oh, I've been debugging this whole time. Do I just full send it? Do I need anything else?
So
is it really that easy?
Well,
all this work for one method call?
I mean, yeah, mostly. Of course, when you do this, you're gonna have to, handle your file upload, and then there's a lot of other depth to how we handle chunking and stuff, because right now we're just relying on the defaults.
Fire in the hole is what I heard.
Yep. Fire in the hole.
Okay. We're gonna if this works, I'm gonna be like, I mean, it technically didn't work the first try, but okay. So one, we're gonna step and make sure I get a couple markdown files. Okay.
Those look like markdown files.
Those look like markdown files to me. Let's see. I don't know that. I don't want to step into that. We're just gonna run. 500. Pipeline ID is empty. Oh, this is your comment earlier when you said we're gonna need to give them a document ID, and I promptly disregarded that statement. Apparently, when you don't give it a document ID, it crashes.
You do need a document ID. That is
Fine.
correct.
Okay, so where does this document ID go on the upload request? Document ID. What is a
Does.
document ID?
It is just a string that is used to identify that specific document. So again, when you're doing an upload of the same document or files, again, the hierarchy is kind of weird to look at there. Um, it'll use that to identify within
Oh, if there's a
your
if
storage
it's new
blob.
or if it's the same.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh. Oh, interesting. So I wonder, does it make sense to break up each file into its own document upload so that I could key them on file name?
I'm more of that kind of guy. And
Oh,
there's a couple things that come to that. Adding just one file, I believe, from if memory serves me, and you share a document ID with all the files in that folder, you'll be re-uploading everything.
see, I was really hoping that was going to be a memory pun there with the memory serves me correctly, but you missed it
No.
and now the moment's lost.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And
I'm not good with
I'm really
real-time jokes.
disappointed in you now because we'll work on it. We'll work on it. It's fine.
It's understandable. I'm disappointed in myself. What can I
I
say?
mean, you had the perfect setup and everything, so it was. And now I can document ID this based on path get file name because I know these are going to be unique because these are files in my directory. So
That
I'm
is
not
true.
worried about collisions there.
There you go.
We'll do this. Ingest. Okay. Got that. Got that. Got that. It's thinking. It's thinking. It's thinking. It's thinking. It's thinking. It's uploading a file. It's doing something. It hasn't died yet. I guess I probably should have looked. How big of a file did I just send it? Just hypothetically speaking. I didn't
No,
look
it's
at
not
what
that
the.
big.
Yeah, a few hundred K.
Well, few hundred K. What are we talking? Actually,
That kind of big.
it's pretty big,
I
and
guess
it's gonna
I guess
split
I
it
should.
into
I
it's
guess
gonna
I should
split
have
it into
warned you.
chunks that are. Yeah, I forgot how big these are. I'm
I
so
mean, they're
used
just
to
every word that I've said on stream for about 3 hours. Uh-oh. That's not a good sign.
what happened.
I think we threw an exception. Hold on. Principal does not have access to API operation. Permission denied. Well, now that
Interesting.
doesn't look promising. So let's see here. What died? I can't read you. Why are you not scrolling the big thing? There we go. Okay. Redacted. Principal 401 permission denied. What were you trying to do? Get embeddings async. So in calling the Azure OpenAI client get embeddings, that's what threw.
You have your auth, you have your endpoint, you have your API key, and you have your deployment, right?
Yeah, let me just confirm.
Actually, you're missing auth. So in there, put another option for auth and put API key.
Ah, so you think it didn't know to use that field because I didn't tell it to use that field.
Yeah, because you can do that. You can connect via API key or Azure Identity.
So real quick, while that before that goes, I kind of want to just come over here. Should I expect to see anything in here right now?
You will, yeah.
Because it uploaded, and so it grabbed this thing here.
So that's a document.
Yeah, this is
And
so
this
this is
is
from the upload. So it
this is
partitioned
all
it.
the pieces. Yes, exactly.
So
So you'll
it chunked this whole sucker up for me. Like if I click
yep.
here and we go with I don't know, download.
Yeah.
Go to me, right? Like boom boom boom. Make sure I don't have anything else on my thingy. Like this looks like a portion of the thing. So it chunked it.
Yep.
I mean, it chunked it weirdly, but because I might have broken on a new line rather than middle of a URL. But what do I know? I'm not a computer. I'm just a mere human.
So if I'm not mistaken, it's breaking on number of tokens.
Okay, so it just goes
this is
until
part
it
of.
goes tells parts. So in theory, there might be some advanced. Somebody like me who knows something about the content could chunk it slightly more intelligently.
Absolutely, and that's true across the board, not just for stuff with a specific format like this, but that's also going to be true for documents. Understanding like the structure of your documents and breaking that or chunking it, which how it's worded or understood. Understanding where to chunk it so that you retain context. There's also the ability to bring in context from above where your chunk actually starts. So you'll append another like 20 tokens from before the start of your chunk, and then another 20 tokens after the end or something like that. And what that does is it just makes sure that you've got additional context that came before and after the main section of that chunk. A little bit different in this case, but we will do some unique chunking to specifically not cut on those
Right, because in theory,
separate subtitles.
yeah, in theory might lose something in that break.
Yeah, and I mean the other part of that that we can look at and possibly decide to do is we can actually take those and we could parse it such that we actually bring all of that actual words together and just use the first of the timestamps as a timestamp for where this paragraph or this, I don't know how many seconds. If you go to the top of this, what's the beginning
You can
time on
see this
this?
is like 1 hour 46 minutes 42 seconds. So it's like every 3 seconds this thing's going. Oh, you're talking about what is the beginning one in this
What's
file?
the duration? Yep.
So I mean, it cut in the middle, but 45:26
So every
to 46:45. So what is that? 1 minute and 19
30.
seconds.
Yeah, something
I mean,
something relatively small.
yeah. We'll call it a minute plus,
There
give
you
or
go.
take a little bit. Like we could chunk them into individual minutes.
Yeah, and that's a whole nother option. We could look at specifically going after a duration of time as opposed to going number of tokens and then using the first timestamp. And then again with that going by amount of time, we could do the 15 seconds ahead of that and the 15 seconds after it, make it a full minute 30. Your main context or your main unique piece is that individual or that minute that's in between the two. But yeah,
So is it intelligent in how, because you said tokens and tokens are not equal to characters, but I noticed that it broke right at a period. Is it being mildly intelligent about what, like this would have been right after a period because it would have been the BE portion of a URI?
I'd be willing to bet
Is
if you
it
go
being
and grab
slightly
another one. Yeah,
is
if
it
you go and grab another one of these, I'd be willing to bet you'll find the same thing as the case. And that's because it's probably by default set up to pull out regular documents, paragraph sentences. So it's not going to break at the middle of a sentence.
or middle of a word, I'm thinking, versus like
Exactly.
it's gonna have some amount of intelligence about it.
Absolutely.
That would make sense. I'm realizing that doing 3 documents may have been too many.
Well, yeah,
It, it,
there's
it may have been overkill, but I am curious here because this had 68 before we started. So it is now chunking more than it had before because we doubled our number of items. So because I was
well, and
surprised that
it's not chunking more, it's processing them. So if you expand out that name
oh,
further,
you're right. To do text embedding.
so let's go into to do text embedding. Let's take a look at what that file looks like because it's going to be another normal text file.
Oh.
And what this does is you can set this up again
Oh,
as
dear heavens. Hold that thought. Hold that thought. We're going to try this again. We're going to open it in something that understands what JSON looks like. All right. I'm sorry.
It's because it's not listed as a JSON. So yeah, there you go. Prettify it. Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so for people who wanted to know what a vector is, there is a vector. And when people talk about number of dimensions, it's how long do you want to scroll until you find the end of these numbers. That is roughly what it means.
15. Hey,
so
there we go.
1544 from, so minus 7, right? So that's 1530. Didn't you say like 1532 or thereabouts?
15, yeah, thereabouts.
Oh, vector size 1536. That's my guess.
There we go.
I can't math,
right
but I can read.
Right in front of my face, of course. So yeah, so this is
when it says in text embedding to do, what?
That's the name of your generator. So the default, I'm assuming, name of the default instance that they build for you is called to do, I believe.
Oh. Okay.
Not 100%.
Fair enough. And do these numbers vary from like what's the range on these? Because they all look to be small. It looks like it's -1 to 1.
Plus or minus 1.
Plus or minus 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Floating points between 1 and -1.
Got it. So whatever these arbitrary dimensions are, I am not a 1 or a 0 in any of them. I heard
it's pretty hard to get a 1 or a 0 on them.
I imagine so, because that would mean that you would basically have to meet that dimension perfectly. And then you might know something about the dimension. This dimension is all about love of Mountain Dew.
There you go. All right, so you can close that. We've got to take a look there. If you go back to the number of files, when we go down to the bottom here, let's see what the biggest or the last text file is.
Well, so I'm noticing I may want to jump up because it looks like string sorting. So I think this 63 is probably my last one.
Probably. You're probably on to the next one. Go ahead and open up the pipeline status JSON. We'll take a quick look at that too.
Status JSON. I wonder, I don't know, can I hit this straight in a browser? No, because
you didn't turn public access on.
Well, I don't really want to turn public, I mean, the source data is public, so.
Yeah. All right, there you go. So what this is going to show you is it's showing you basically all of the information about this ingestion run. Your top is your index. So you have a default index that it gives you inside of your Postgres database or your vector database. And so it starts out with the default. You can obviously name that, specifically which document you're looking at.
You've got the only one I've uploaded so far.
There you go. A unique execution ID.
Okay.
Below that is the steps that it took. So the first thing it did is it extracted the text out of the file. It then did partitioning on it, generated embeddings for each one of those partitions, and then it saved it. So far, yep, exactly. You can see that the only step remaining is saving, but it's done the other pieces.
Oh, interesting. That feels like it
tracks state.
That's cool. It hasn't my breakpoint yet, so it had. So it's still we're still pending.
It's probably on file 2. It might be the case that it's already on file 2 at this point.
It shouldn't be because I got a breakpoint at the end of my for each.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Which is why I say it hasn't iterated yet.
So what we can do though,
but we can go right. We could
over
jump
to Postgres.
Go to here.
We can go over to Postgres.
Okay.
You're gonna actually probably need, because they don't have a clean way to do this from here. Although they may have a terminal now. No, they don't have a terminal yet. Do they?
I don't know, looking.
No. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to get like pgadmin or another Postgres interface.
I heard Winget.
Yes, sir. Or yeah, Winget. Chocolatey. You should be able to find it on any of them. So we'll use that to connect in, and we'll start to see those actual.
We may have.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Password has been provided.
Let's see. No password has been provided.
Let's see here.
So this is, you know what? Let's do this. Let's make our life easy. Because we know what the connection string looks like with a username and password.
Yep.
I can set this things off to. Did it go?
Connect or server parameters? No.
Where was the
security, right?
Thank you.
Yep.
Authentication.
There
right?
we go.
Because right now this is using Enter ID. Let me set it to both.
Wait, go back real quick. What's at the bottom of that page?
My user that I added.
Oh,
my
okay.
Enter admin. But let me set it to both. Right?
Okay.
And then I will create an admin username and password.
There you go.
And by I will create a password, I will open up Bitward and say, generate me a big, long, ugly looking password.
It does simplify it.
And then we'll save that. You want to set the Postgres and restart the server. Continue. Yes. So apparently changing that requires a server restart. So we will let the server restart. And then I will go and tweak the connection string and the secrets to just have a username and password. And then I can futz with figuring out the managed identity bits, right?
Yeah.
And save ourselves a little bit of
troubleshooting.
Yeah.
I like that idea.
I think it's just password equals and then value.
I believe that is the case. Password equals value, yes.
Okay. Because the thing is rebooting, so I can't go look at the hopefully generated connection strings.
Yeah.
The operation has been accepted. Okay. I do like, though, that it's smart enough to where when I restart this, it doesn't like start over from the beginning. That's very, 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 very convenient.
No. Well, and that's it's much more robust. As a service, like semantic kernel was never intended to be its own standalone service. Kernel memory is, and it's they've done very well with setting it up for recovery.
So real quick then, the semantic kernel and kernel memory are related? Not related? I'm
indirectly related. So semantic kernel came out. Crap, we were just at build, and I still don't remember what the anniversary was. But it's been 2 odd years, I want to say, at this point, since semantic kernel came out. And semantic kernel was just intended to allow people to make AI apps. So it did the interfacing out to your LLMs. It did text embeddings. It had very similar things to what you have in kernel memory.
Mhm.
And then it also provided connections to databases. So a lot of the same stuff that you're finding here. In fact, the majority of the things that you can do with semantic kernel, you can do in kernel memory. But what it also had on top of that is other concepts like agentic stuff. So having multiple agents that you could then have talking to each other. It added in reg. So before this, obviously does reg as well, but before kernel memory, it had reg as one of the earlier frameworks or libraries that provided the tooling around that. The other being LangChain. And then it also had planners. So giving a AI or LLM the ability, or the application the ability, to make a request with, say, build me a plan to find out this information. And your AI would then spit out multiple steps, and then it would resend each one of those steps individually to the LLM to kind of give you this uh, break down a problem into smaller pieces for the AI to be or to have an easier time solving a problem. Um, and so some of those things, specifically the agentic stuff and the planner stuff, is not available in kernel memory. But what kernel memory does really well is RAG and all of the memory related stuff. And they've said Devis, one of the main architects and developers, said that really it was kind of a project of loving the idea and wanting to take all of the learnings that they had from semantic kernel and really make it more robust, a standalone service, really enhance the ability to use it in a wider context, really.
Got it. Okay. So in a lot of ways, then kernel memory is semantic kernel v2.
From the memory perspective, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
That makes some sense in my head. Okay, we are on to running now. We did not
Fantastic.
immediately die. So, did you want to look at? Oh, you wanted me to go get like PG admin, right?
Yes. Yeah. Let's grab PG admin because that'll allow us to take a look as it saves into the database, which obviously it wasn't, or it was having issues there prior. And what we were waiting for must have been timeout, default timeout stuff,
Well,
or number of retries rather.
Well, it's possible. The fact that it had the auth wrong, though.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe not. It did seem like quite a delay before we saw it, though.
Yeah, but remember the first time we ran, it didn't get all the way through the chunky stuff. So I imagine it had to do some of the chunky stuff. I think that error may have come up while we were looking at the stuff in the storage account. But okay. PG admin go burr.
PG admin do go burr. And having that username and password will actually make it easier to log in here as well.
Oh shoot, you're telling me I have to remember what I set it to?
I mean, preferably.
It's okay. That's what Bitwarden is for, is to remember the password so that I don't have to.
Yeah. Is that a cloud service?
It is, but it's not. But even though it's stored in the cloud, unless you give up your master key, your vault is encrypted. So it shouldn't be decryptable without the master key.
Okay.
So yes, your data exists in a cloud, but it's open source and you can self-host it if you want.
That I like. I like the fact that you can self-host it, although it's hard to feel comfortable putting anything password-like on the internet anymore.
Yeah, which is part of why I was like, I could do it, but then I have to be like responsible for updating it.
You've got to do all the updates.
I don't.
There's
really
already
want to
problems
do that.
with. Yeah, companies are doing this and have had failures in the past. So,
yeah,
what makes you think you can do better, right? Yeah, it's always tough.
Well, and the hard part is there are some local password managers, but then you have the issue of, well, I want it on my phone and I want it on my computer. Like at some point, I got to get the data from point A to point B.
I live in the bane of I just have separate on-machine password managers, and
what do you
I just
do
never
when you
put in.
cycle passwords, though? Isn't that a pain?
Absolutely, it is a pain. Yes, I just do it.
You suffer
Yeah.
needlessly.
I don't know.
I mean, maybe
who was it? Who was it that got hacked? I don't remember who it was at this point. KeyPass or
yes.
I mean, it wasn't all that long ago, and that's why I just don't quite feel comfortable with it yet.
Well, and I think that one was they weren't. Was it? Like there wasn't a proper salt, or the salt was stored alongside of it, or something to that effect.
But again, I would have trusted them to do that
How?
because they're security experts or so-called security
I
experts,
don't
you
know what
know?
this server is. Why does it think this server exists?
Uh, I think
No.
it's because it has a default server.
Oh, go away, server. Yeah, I don't know. So create. Okay, how to
Register.
register? Thank you.
Yep. Give her a
Uh,
name.
the only name that we know exists.
Yes, exactly.
I can set the colors. I'm now
You
immediately
can.
excited. Okay, host name address. I am going to just slide this
Yep.
guy over to the side for a moment.
And while you do that, I'm actually going to go grab something to drink. I will be
How
right
dare
back,
you?
sir. I know. I don't know if you're running ads, but now would be a perfect time.
Yeah, it would be a good time. I don't typically run them.
Fair enough. All right, I'll be right back.
Okay, I will be creating a connection string and pretending that I know what I'm doing. Because I clearly don't run PG admin much, so this is going to be an adventure. Uh, sure, that looks like I got all the datas. Oh, we got an exception. You? What was our exception? Type vector does not exist. Well, that's disappointing. On a positive note, PG admin logged in, so that's exciting. Wow, shows lots of server sessions, lots of stuff. Let's see here. Type vector does not exist. I believe we added that. See if I can solve this before Casey gets back. That way I can be the hero. I will be. Because it was here. Come on, load. This was the Azure something extensions. Come on, Azure. You're making me look bad in front of my coworker. Okay. So we have vector. Is there another one in here that we are missing? Is there another one? Okay, it doesn't immediately jump out at me. Hold up. I just see it. Is that a button we should have on? Don't know what that. I don't know what Azure AI does. Hang on. Let's go here. Let's see. Type vector does not exist. We go here. We go magical AI.
I have returned. I could hear you the entire time, and it was great because I've run into that same problem. The key with Postgres is you have to add it inside the database. Yep.
Install the Postgres create extension command to ensure that the vector type is available in the database. Then what did we add on the outside? The extension to the server, but we didn't add it to the database?
Yes.
Dang nabbit.
Spot on.
Dang nabbit. Okay, okay. Got it. So it's also good we have PG admin because I assume we got to go in here based upon what Copilot just said a second ago.
That is the one.
So I go here, I go here, I go here, and I go, how do I create an extension? Create extension. Excellent. Name. Vector.
I think it's PG underscore vector, but and I want to say you don't want to create it. I'm gonna have to double check here just a moment.
PG vector isn't an option. Vector is, so I'm going to disagree with you based upon my extensive knowledge of this.
Yeah, it probably is since the naming is different in Azure. Also, the Azure OpenAI or the Azure AI extension, I believe, is what adds the ability to do in database embeddings.
Ah, okay.
I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so I have now added the vector extension.
Okay,
Vector.
so refresh your Postgres there, the database level. And let's go to schemas, I want to say. Go to schemas, and then go to public, and then go to types. And let's see if we've got anything special in there. Hey,
your big head is in the way, so I gotta
there we
move
go.
this.
There we go.
I gotta move this for everyone else. Vector.
There's a vector. All right, perfect. So that resolves that issue.
Okay, so rinse, repeat, do it again.
Spot on. I got myself some pineapple juice. I know it's not Mountain Dew. I'm sorry. You can banish me whenever.
We might have to. I don't have to restart my debugging session. I could just hit go. Just really, so it must be redoing some of this because it doesn't die immediately. Like it.
There is some amount that it redoes.
Each time I'm pushing this sucker up.
And what you could do, well, actually, no.
Because I imagine it gets a document with the same ID, right? So in theory, it should know that it doesn't need to. But I've had to push this I'm curious how intelligent it is to send the ID first and then only feed the data if needed.
Yeah, I think by default it probably is redoing the entire process. I think we may need to set some additional settings for the processing.
Would that be in the kernel?
I think it's actually, oh man, it would be in the kernel. It would be, I want to say, in the handlers. You wouldn't see it. Oh, actually, yeah, you could see it there because you can dig, but
Only drawback with not restarting my sessions. Now I have this stack trace here, and I'm now always left wondering if I've triggered a new one. I mean, I've got my breakpoint set, so I'll either hit the end of the for each or I'll hit the catch. There are no alternate paths.
There's no other option.
But I am realizing how much this is going to, like, to rip through all of my video streams. This thing's gonna, like, I'm gonna kick this thing off, and then I think I'm gonna go to work.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna hope that it's done by the time I get home.
For that amount of data,
it may take a little bit of ingestion.
What's the size of that folder?
Total size?
Yeah, what's the total size of that folder?
And I can tell you in a moment. Total size in bytes. We'll say 40 meg.
40 meg. Wonder
So
how that.
It's not huge.
Yeah.
But it's 40 meg of pure markdown.
I want to compare it to the book because that's what I last did a.
That's a good point. So
let's see here, show more options.
You look that up. So for people who are unfamiliar, Essential C#, 1, if you want to go learn C#, great website. This is based on the Essential C# book series. Hey, look, there's my name. I may have been involved. Casey may have been involved. There may have been a lot of people involved in this. This website, at some point,
nuts.
I think we want to do a talk on what we did, because the software behind this isn't necessarily proprietary, but it's not open source either.
Yeah.
There's a lot of infrastructure to generate a very simple website.
Well, and
an insane amount of infrastructure.
And not to confuse that, though, not really infrastructure, but like software architecture behind it.
Yeah.
Because, you say infrastructure, I think, we had to spin up a bunch of Azure resources. It didn't take that many resources, but the amount of code that went into
You know how many
Oof.
containers we had to spin to host this sucker? Most people who basically host a static website, that's one thing. This is functionally a static site-ish. And then we added login stuff, so it needed some compute and whatnot. But
A little bit.
it's mostly a static site. Yeah. But there's a lot that went into this. And arguably, a lot of the complications came from the fact that the website wasn't the only output format. Like, we had to generate some stuff for the publisher and otherwise. And like, just to give people an idea of how complicated this is, imagine you're writing a book and you want to add some content to one of these chapters. Now imagine that book needs to print and you want to have an index at the back of the book that has page numbers referencing where that content is used. Yeah. Now imagine you don't want to build that index by hand. And you want it automated. We automated that index building.
Yeah.
That's the level of crazy we went to.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Very much so.
Ooh, transactions per second just spiked.
There you go.
I assume that means it's doing something.
That means we should be able to go to tables. Let's go take a look at the tables.
Sorry.
It's under your schema.
Oh, thank you.
Under public. Yep. Right there.
No table.
Refresh the schema at the schema level.
Refresh at the schema level. Nope.
No table.
No table yet. I mean, it was just a spike and then it went down. Oh, good news. We got an exception.
Hey, there we go.
I mean, I don't know if that's good news, but...
Yeah, depends on how you look at it.
Let's see. Writing values of PG vector.vector is not supported for parameters having... I don't know. That's a lot of words that... in fact, I'm not sure that this thing here is English. It looks kind of like my son just...
NPG SQL? That's,
I mean, I could get the same thing by just hitting my keyboard.
So...
Try setting one of these values to the expected type.
Yeah, I think I know what your problem is. So let's go take... So you've got the fully qualified. Yep. Okay. Go back to PG vector real quick.
Go Hugo could handle that in seconds. Sorry, where'd you want me to go?
PG vector. Yep. Okay, it is public. Go out to your configs or wherever you've set the go out to your main file, your program.cs. Actually go to AI services.
Mm-hmm.
Go to the PG vector. Where's your... Oh yeah, Postgres. Yes. Open up that configuration.
Got it.
The underlying type.
Well, I've got... So this is just a string.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we can switch to the... We can
swap to the full.
To the full object.
Yep.
Is what you want. Let's see.
Yeah, just for a moment, because I want to say it may be a mismatch between schema names. So when you do an install of a Postgres extension, it's at the schema level. So you don't get them across the board. So if you end up in a different schema that's not like your default schema, you will be missing your extension, and then you have to install it again, but against a different schema. And it's not going to be called schema, it's going to be called index, is what they refer to it as, if I'm not mistaken.
I think what you mean is called schema.
Wow,
and default schema is public. Without... Well, now I don't know what happens when you go to the connection string overload, just to be clear, right? Like... So public...
Are you setting a schema on your connection string? I wouldn't imagine that you are.
Look.
Might be, though.
See, I'm setting server. I'm setting database. Port,
that's fine.
SSL mode, user ID, and password. Is everything on my connection string?
You should be all good there then.
But I guess
Um,
my comment though is when you do with this guy here with the connection string, it probably has to new up one of those config objects. I don't know what this might do.
it should just use the defaults.
You are correct. It appears to do exactly
Yeah.
that.
Give me one moment.
This is
I'm gonna take a quick
incorrect.
peek at something
Yeah,
on
so
my
it just news
side.
up a basic config and sets the connection string property. So I'll leave it in the full one because it's a little more explicit, but they should be identical.
Yeah. Oh lordy. Oh yeah, that's right.
Because it is, if we go back to our exception, let's see. PG vector is not supported for parameters having no or data type name. While you do that, I'm going to invoke the power of the AI.
Do it. I'll see if I can beat the AI through manual work.
Let's see here. Put this in the middle of the screen so your big head isn't in the way. Anybody else? Let's see. Go. How do I fix paste?
This.
Enter. I mean, I'm okay. I have a strange feeling that that is not correct, but you know what? I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt. Yeah, I don't think it has a type mappings in here, does it? That feels weird to do something like that. Well, table name prefix. Payload, create schema, column embedding. Oh, interesting. Okay. That's interesting.
What is that?
So it's making a table. It's got these various columns in it. I assume this is what you were hoping to see, right? Is something akin to that.
Yep.
And in this case,
Spot on.
it went through and said, here's the columns. But what is this dictionary set to? Is this empty? It's column ID. Oh, so these dictionaries literally just map from one into itself.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. Embedding. So make sure that you haven't removed them from the dictionary. Make sure that the values haven't been emptied out because it needs them. Does it create table SQL, which is kind of insane. Let's see. Create table if not exists. It is trying to do embedding vector. Okay. That all seems reasonable to me.
Yeah, I think you're all good there. It's matching up with what I've done previously. Go back to the exception one more time.
There.
Writing values of pg vector dot vector is not supported for Parameters having no PG-SQL DB type or data type.
You know,
Wait a second.
I didn't restart our debug session after we did that extension add.
Go ahead and try that first. And then while you do that, I'm going to look at
Because I am realizing
another
that was
possibility.
oh. Because I made the sweeping assumption, oh, we're just tweaking something in the database, but I didn't think that the provider may be holding on to something. But maybe.
Could be. Would make sense.
Because that call stack referenced the internal type mapping thingy mabobber in the provider, so maybe there was something held on to there.
I could definitely see that being the case.
In retrospect, what I really should have done is renamed a different markdown file, made its file size like a quarter.
Yeah.
That would have been wiser.
Yeah. Probably. Next time, right?
Well, while this is running, I'm going to go do that real quick. I'm going to take this thing, right? And I'm going to make one of these suckers, and I'm going to rename you to something shorter. And then there. And then I'm going to just open with VS Code, and I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to say, you know what? About there, right? Control Shift N, delete, save. And that should get picked up first. Because that should be
numero uno.
Yeah, well, when you get all files, I think it iterates by name by default. It'll probably pick that up first. I'm just going to secretly add a little breakpoint here at the beginning of the for each, just so I can catch it, confirm. I think we'll be good. Hopefully, this guy gets going. Because once we have these embeddings, the next step then is what? Leverage them for query?
No, I think the next step is we start digging in on how we want to actually do the processing of the data. So making alterations on how it chunks, how it partitions, determining what's going to be valuable. Are we going to do some pre-parsing so that we only get text inside of our embeddings? Because the embeddings of those timestamps isn't very valuable unless somebody's going to ask the question of, when or specifically things like, on stream XYZ, what was said at timestamp blah blah blah,
Right, because we might want to rip that out of the things that we're generating the embeddings from, but we still want the pointer back to where it exists in time.
Exactly, yes, and we'll still use that. In fact, we'd take that entire URL and use it as a reference, so that when we pull this this embedding with this data that would then be used by the LLM, we could provide that entire reference, and they'd have a link back to the specific video and time at which it was said. And that gets back to, again, if we want to take all those, parse them such they're one chunk and then use the top timestamp. Yeah, I think that's where we'll want to go next.
Got it. Okay. Makes sense.
And that's where we'll start getting into the more
interesting rather than the config for a one-liner.
Yep, pretty much. Because it can get pretty deep.
Do you know what? Like, this database seems very
chatty. I think it's honestly your PG admin.
Oh, that's
because your PG admin's also connected to it. Yeah.
Oh, so there's no. Yeah. Okay, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not like a lot, but and then you also have things that I want to say that the Azure is doing as well, because Azure's, doing things exactly what it does at any given time. I don't know, but I'd be willing to bet they have an active connection to the database for something.
That is fair. Hello, Milo. .NET Core is becoming close to Express.js. Absolutely. Well, I guess I should ask the question: is that a good thing or a bad thing to you? And I guess in what ways do you see it? Might be another one. Like there's a lot that is, I don't want to say converging, but I don't know. C# is definitely guilty of feature envy.
But that's what's made it so feature rich as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. Why do I have, okay, my modules tab open and it's just taking up a ton of vertical real estate with not a lot of value add. Okay, I really want to see this thing hit somewhere. While that's going, I was going to go and see, does this guy here have monitoring? Yeah, because it's got, like, it's hovering at like 6-ish connections.
Yeah.
The storage has slowly gone up, which is funny since I don't think we've inserted anything yet. So that storage capacity is, I think, the
extension, I would have to assume.
Added. And I do wonder if you're right that some of these connections are the Azure stuff. Like, it's the weird problem. Oh! Casey!
There we go.
We finished.
That's a good sign. Now we should be able to go back to PG Vector and see some...
Do I let the next file go?
Yeah. Fire away. Let's go take a look at that database.
Okay, so now if I refresh the sucker.
There you go.
Okay, I have default. AM default. And then what do? What's view data?
View data, view/edit data.
I
mean, you don't have that many, so.
I was going to say, I don't know how big one of these things is. I feel like all rows is dangerous.
All right.
Okay.
So what you'll see there in the ID, if you want to expand that out a little bit, that ID is built off of first your document ID. That should be recognizable. And that second part is, if I'm not mistaken, a partition ID. And that partition ID is, I want to just say randomly generated. Yeah, because I don't think it's
kind of GUID if I was guessing.
Kind of looks, yeah, it kind of looks GUID. Anyways, so that's generated to guarantee uniqueness, and then after that, you've got your embeddings. Also, should be fairly familiar. Also, extremely long.
Yeah, I just noticed my scroll bar. I just noticed my scroll bar is big. Okay, and then we've got tags.
Tags,
which is just well-known stuff. It looks like because it's got a document ID, some file type, some parts. Okay.
Yes, but you can also use those tags. If I'm not mistaken, those are what ends up being the additional storage. So that will be where we place like the actual, oh no, that's payload. Tags is just additional information. And there are some uses for those too. With the...
Oh wow, and it's got the whole content in here as well.
Yes. And that's so that when you reference this, you do a semantic similarity, a nearest neighbor on it. It will grab based on the embedding, but you also have the actual content that you can use. And the payloads there is where you can add additional things like the URL. We can inject the URL.
Got it.
So it could go to that specific thing and have that reference.
Okay. I like it. Okay, so I'm going to let this thing ride for a minute. Where do you want to go in terms of editing the code next?
Honestly, I would say we can probably kill it. not useful at this point. We know the data in there is not going to give us good results. I mean, we don't know that. We haven't actually tested it, but I can tell you with pretty high certainty that it's not going to give you very good results. It still may answer the Mountain Dew question. I don't think it's worth checking though. We'll just assume that it could probably get Mountain Dew. It's said enough. I mean, unless there's one stream that and we luckily got it and you never said Mountain Dew, highly unlikely.
You are right. It is an unlikely term.
Yeah, that pretty rare, pretty unlikely. So the next part is we're going to change some of the steps inside of our pipeline.
Okay.
So you remember the text file that we had at the bottom there where it was going through status, and then you had these different steps that it went through to do this parsing.
Yep.
So what we're going to need to do is, I believe, set up our own handler.
Okay.
There is a markdown handler that we could try first, and it has some. I
mean, the markdown
settings.
of these files is pretty simple, so I imagine it probably gets eaten by any markdown parser worth its salt.
Probably
because they
but
literally.
does it emphasize what we want it to emphasize, and does it result in something that's actually useful to us?
That's fair, right? Like if I was pre-processing this file, the first thing I'd do is strip blank lines. Because some of the blank lines in here are only here to make it look nice inside of GitHub. Like that is not a useful thing. And as you can see, some of my older ones left a lot of blank lines in there as well, whereas the newer versions strip it out. So we could kind of standardize some of the data as well if we wanted.
So let's go out to kernel memory orchestrator. Yeah. So after you do your build, let's do a memory dot orchestrator. Did that change?
Well, hold on.
Am I crazy?
Yeah. Do that.
There we go.
It's because I was going straight to the interface. And so we'll still register with the interface. We'll just...
Yep.
Oh, C# loves the builder pattern. Yes, I will agree with you, Al.
Everything's a builder.
Like, see, the kernel memory stuff, the generic host, it is very... It is... The love is strong. Okay. So orchestrator, and then what are we doing here?
So we're going to add handlers. Those steps are actually handlers that are then given a step name. So I want to say, let's do add default handlers first, and let's go take a look at that method.
Add default handlers. We'll take a look.
Yeah.
Okay, so this...
There's your handlers. There's your steps. And based on settings, some of these will and won't be a part of it, but we can reuse probably a good portion of these. I mean, we're going to try to do as much reuse as possible, at least to start, and then we'll go from there.
Got it. So we might want to do something similar, right? Where we
want to do something similar, yeah.
So maybe I go down here and I go... Actually, you know what? Hang on. We can be even more clever. Oh, I can't do static inside of static. Yeah, whatever. We'll just do this, and we'll go... There, done.
That'll work. So
do these not come with default ones already? Do I need to clear these initially or something?
It does. This just allows you to what you can do is up in your builder pattern, you could do a dot without default handlers, and then this would allow you to add all those default handlers back. Just do it manually.
Oh, I see. So I would go without default handlers. Got it.
Yep.
Okay.
And so that's just telling the orchestrator that we're going to determine all of the steps that it has to go through.
Hands off. I want to drive. Give me the steering wheel.
Exactly. So let's first take a look at text extraction handler.
Okay.
All right, so this, go through here, there should be one that takes in a document request, I want to say.
In file details, there's your extract text, extract JSON that we saw out on the blob storage.
Yep.
Pulls in binary data, pulls out the text. They love their value tuples. It's not being skipped. We write it out and gen the file details. And then we do save extracted contents. And rip through this. And then these are the helper methods that thing appears to do it. So extract text async. This is potentially what you were looking for, or takes the file context.
So what I'm seeing so far as we go through this is it looks like it's mostly just taking the text out of the file and just placing it elsewhere. Since this would be intended to take a file upload, it's just doing that and adding some additional metadata so that you can track as it's parsing these
sentences are complete.
Processing these
that
files.
Would explain why it was dropping on the periods.
There you go. Add a clean page separation. Yep. So that would be where it's dividing between pages or partitions. So
you said there was a markdowny one that might be better to look at.
I think there is a markdown one.
If I do think orchestrator, add handler, markdown, coder.
Markdown partitioning handler, or no, markdown.
Well, the problem is I must need a NuGet package for it or similar, because this thing does not appear to have it.
Let's go look at the options for the text extraction handler. Does it have options that we can affect?
Possibly. Sorry.
No worries.
I'm just looking at what else was in here by default. Okay. So this guy here, if we go and look at him again, let's see. He has a step name. Not exposed on his API directly. How would you typically pass options on one of these handlers? Are they usually like public properties, or how do they do it?
I honestly have not passed options into these before.
So I don't.
The way that I've handled it in the past, let me go open my example so I can.
I don't see anything that's jumping out at me. I can check on this extension and see, but it doesn't look like. It looks like you're kind of limited here.
The only time I've done options, it looks like, is on custom handlers that I've built. So they don't have that in there. Yeah.
Yeah, and these appear to just be going into the DI
default DI. Yep. And they'll get picked up by, obviously, by the subsequent orchestration runs.
Okay. So what?
So maybe we want to do our own handler, or we could start out by doing our own handler to transition the file from the state that it's in into a state that's going to give us valuable data. So I would say doing an extraction that, instead of breaking on periods, doing that clean sentence, we do something where it takes it in, takes all of the actual pieces of content, appends those together, and takes that first timestamp.
Okay. Then I just do the interface, yeah?
Yes. You can just do the interface. That'll need a orchestrator, well, we can add options here if we wanted to make it.
I was gonna say, I
Give it
think I can
options.
just do something akin to this and
Yes.
poach.
I always forget that you're the master of just like going and copying and pasting.
I mean,
I
I
always
think what you
find
mean
myself
is
just stumbling through
lazy.
figuring it out. Yeah.
Let's see. Don't care, don't care. I mean, I guess it probably doesn't hurt to add in the logging stuff while we're here. Make it mirror that a little bit, and then do this, do this, do this. Change the target for the logger to make it proper one. This guy goes away. This becomes private read only I logger of. Yeah, thank you, Copilot. A wonderful audience. Okay, and then
You want to save off the orchestrator because we'll definitely need that. I don't think that we'll need the content decoders.
okay. Perfectly fine, nuking stuff. Oh, this is interesting. Actually, I would argue a bug in the existing stuff. So
Yeah.
But you know, some people may disagree.
To
Okay.
each their own, as they say.
Okay, so I've got this, I've got this, I've got this. Now I assume I can look kind of at what they did here on their invoke async and kind of do.
I would copy a good portion of that. What a lot of that kind of additional stuff there is handling all of the creating your step files. So, like we saw, where you had your extracted text, and then you had your embeddings, and then you had well, I don't think you had a third step there because your third step was just uploading. But there are additional files that get generated. And so we can generate a step file to say, as we're going through this document or this partition, check that file off. We've gone all the way through this file. We don't need to pick up that job. And that's, yeah, the queue. If you do an event hub style queue instead of a simple queue, you can end up with jobs actually posting out into a queue and being picked up by different workers that run through the orchestration steps.
Got it. Okay, now this thing here. Yeesh. To array dot length. Yuck. No. I'm gonna propose let's not allocate a massive array for no purpose. Okay, then I'm gonna strip the web page one because we aren't doing that stuff. So I really only need that now. Yeah. Let's see. That goes like that. That goes like that. That goes like that. Okay. And then we're gonna go up here. And then I just need the extract text bit. Then this is where I assume we get fancy and do our bits rather than their bits. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that
Ba-ba.
it's actually funny
So
because
there's the decoders, but I think what we're saying is we don't need that, right?
we know our file type coming in. We're always going to have
Yeah.
Markdown. We're not processing anything else, so we can actually do a lot of restrictions on dealing with the different MIME types and such.
So we aren't going to deal with any of this garbage. So yeah, we're going to do that. Hey, Society Dog, good morning to you as well. Okay, so here we are building out we'll call it a chat GPT version of me powered by the subtitles of all of my streams that I've done. If that doesn't terrify the rest of the internet, I don't know what does. Okay, so I'm trying to look and see. This is doing decoder and all of this stuff, but at the end of the day, it's just trying to get a string back out.
That's right.
So this is a lot of work to get text. And what is this because this is the original text.
Yep.
Oh yeah, no problem. I was glad to see that there was a lot of action on that post too and feedback. It was kind of cool. I learned something about Avalonia I didn't know. For our file content, Casey,
we're always Markdown.
Markdown old 1. Oh, I see. Got it. For the old stuff. Okay, got it.
Old MIME types. Yep.
So we're gonna do this because that's what we want, and then we just want to read said file, right?
We're gonna read.
So uploaded file. We fed it a stream somewhere, didn't? Oh, we've got file content right there. File content. And then they broke it into sections.
Yep. And we're going to want to do much the same.
So do I actually want the decoders then? Because they were pulling out decoders based upon MIME type. Because I don't have to.
It's a good question.
That because they pull the decoder out, do the decode, and then this gives them back this thing that has apparently chunked stuff already. Because
it's broken it into those partitions.
Yeah, because how does file content know? They get file content and then something populates these sections, and I have to believe it's this decode async. Because they get one of these suckers. Implementation.
You might be right. I'm not familiar with the decoders.
Extract contents from the given file.
Mm-hmm. But the problem is that if we go down,
but doesn't this
that gives us
mean that we could write our own decoder, register it for the right MIME type, and then it'll get picked up, but we won't need to write our own file extractor. We could just write our own decoder.
Yeah.
So
as long as it's picking that up from DI, yeah.
So
that should be the case.
I think what I can do, we can test this theory.
Know. Oh yeah, it does get the content.
Public class my markdown decoder. Right, and I do this. I do this. I wish I knew their existing ones. I don't know. It would help to know how to implement this sucker. Let's see. Decode supports MIME type. So I think what we want to do is return MIME type equals markdown, right? And then the files that we feed in, I think they were being detected as markdown anyway, right? I think.
Yes, I want to say in one of those log files we saw it as markdown.
I thought even right here.
Yeah, it may say it in the tags as well.
Yeah, but the scroll bar is too tiny.
It's going to be where tags was.
The problem is.
Yeah.
The vector is ye big.
Oh.
Tags.
There it is. File type text markdown.
Yeah. So it's coming through here as text markdown. So that'll pick this up. And then because it's grabbing the last one, so the last one registered gets to win. Right? And then can I do something like with content decoder? Ha 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 ha.
There you go. Nice.
I win. I'm guessing I can just implement this one, right? Because using var reader gets new stream reader. Boom. Read to end async. Await, right? Return new. Oh. Yeah. Content. Mime type. How do I put the content into it? Sections. Right, and so this is where then I do work to get the sections out.
Yes.
Right, file content dot sections. File. See, by not naming it properly, it confused the copilot. Bad AI author not naming to make the AI happy. So this goes here, and then what is a file section? Number of content sentences are complete. That's a weird, because that's just an auto incrementing int text, right? True. Right? What is the sentences are complete reference? Then we could just, collection initialization simplification. Boom, done. Right, so we gotta do some work
to actually
here.
Get the content.
Yeah. So, and then doing the chunking of it and similar, right? Because we have to then build up this list of file sections. So, we can subtitle converter. Where is my thingy mabobber that actually? So the entire process that converts this into this markdown can be summarized in 3 regexes. That is the sum total of this entire thing, right? And you'll note it prefixes with this, right? And then it does this. That is it. That is the whole thing. So it's like, and arguably most human beings don't do this, right? Like, that's weird and ugly. But the output, isn't bad.
I mean, it's not really legible as a regex.
Oh, come on.
But is any really regex?
So hang on. We just want to do this, right? So, and then we want to do, let's see. We want to do turn regex on. I want to match from start of line, do a curly brace. I want to do a pattern match group. I want it to be named text. I want it to be all characters that are not a closing slash in the set. Any number of repetitions, close group, close thing, like that. And then we could honestly, I don't know if we care about the URL, because we could do something like, let's see. Yeah, I don't understand why people think this is unreadable. URL dot star close group. What did I mess up here? Valid regular expression. Maybe this is why people think these things are unreadable.
Might be. Might have something to do with that.
It goes like that, and this should actually be all characters that are not equal to closing paren, any number of repetitions followed by a closing paren, which clearly needs to be escaped, right? So there's your regex. Like, I mean that's all it takes.
That's it. It's not that big of a deal.
Right.
It's
So then we
fine.
copy paste, right? And then we come over, where was I? See, now I've lost my place. We go here, right? So if I wanted to break these things apart, right? So I would go regex match, right? There's my text. There is my pattern, right? And now I've got a set of, yeah, WTF, easy, right?
So what's your output of that?
For each match in. Oh, I'm sorry. I want this to be matches. Okay, boom. Because I'm gonna have a. So now I've got. Have a great site that explains how that works.
Yeah, actually, there's a few of them that are really good
Yeah, the
at
ones.
breaking down regex.
Yeah, the one I think I've used most. I can never remember the right. This one.
Is it that? Yeah, that one.
This one I
I
like
want to.
a lot because you can take your regex.
Yeah.
And drop it in, right? And then this actually goes through the regex and tries to break down the order of what's happening here. Like, it's remarkable how much you can do with regex, only memorizing a handful of patterns.
Yeah.
It is, oh, hold on. XKCD regex. This is required reading for all people who do regex. So enjoy. That is required reading for all regex because there is way too much truth in that.
It's a good one.
Okay, so now we have this, and then more importantly, I can go string. I don't know, line equals match groups text.value. And yes, I am aware we have compiled regex, and I can make this faster and blah 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 blah. There. See, look at that. I win. Oh, is it gonna auto code for me? Fine. Match line regex. Boom. Okay, fine. We'll use the compiled regex. There. Happy.
You've appeased the VS gods.
So for people who don't know what just happened, it created an attribute, a partial method. This then gets implemented at compile time with a very, I'll say, a more performant regex engine because it doesn't have to have the whole of regex. It can parse this and do it at compile time. So if your pattern is compile time constant, you can leverage this to get a decent performance bump out of it. And syntax highlighting and all that jazz. Okay. Okay, so we've got these groups, and then how do we want to determine these sections, I guess is the question. Because I now have the URL yanked out of that. I now have the line yanked out of that. I could pull, we know that the lines are roughly 3 seconds each. Like we could make that as an assumption and pull, what, 21 seconds? 18 seconds? Like, are we worried about like the context size of one of these things?
I mean, it depends. I mean, what do we look like lengthwise when we do
look at
hit?
This. It does have Mountain Dew right in the opener.
Also, that beginning, you'll probably want to take off the first one. I don't know if you already did that.
I did not, but
also give me 1 second. I'll be right back.
Reader, read line async. Let's see here. We'll leave a comment because future Kevin's not going to remember why he did this. Let's see here. And then that should also have the cancellation token. Throw away the header line. Actually, I don't think we're going to pick it up. Oh no, we will because it matches it does match the regex pattern. Okay. So we'll throw it away and then we'll rip through this. And in reality, what we probably shouldn't be doing is read to end, is we should probably read individually and build these up as we go. But at the end of the day, these file sections are going to contain the string content anyway. So so I guess in my naive sense here, my gut reaction says to group these things because the subtitles don't usually pick up like sentence breaks or any of that stuff. And you'll note there are a handful of things where like clearly I said XAML.
Yeah.
And Google, like the Microsoft stuff is much more hip to picking up XAML as lingo. Like
I wonder why.
And the Google-ish ones are not. But it does pick up my, like, the Google Translate does do better at picking up my fake words that aren't real words and going, here's what I know you meant. It's not a real word, but let me just plug that in for you. Like,
Yeah,
so
we'll call that good.
Yeah. So I'm kind of wondering, because what is the right way to determine how big my file section should be? Like,
so
what are the pros and cons of like dumping? Because I could dump it all in one, right? That's probably wrong. And I could dump every little word in one. That might be wrong.
I personally, unless I have something very contextual that I can use, so like I've used like headings in Markdown. If I have different sections, try to grab the heading first, and then I will cut that down to whatever size I can actually fit into the embedding model. So start out with grabbing it all. Let's take a look at it. Let's see how long it is, because it's kind of hard to judge that based on. I mean, we could do some rough math. It was like a 64 or something sections. Each one of those looked like it was 6 to 7 words. Token is 3 to 4 characters. There's some rough math you could do. I could tell you about how long it is, but I would start by just joining it all together. Let's take a look at how long it is, and then we'll take a look at what the maximum context length or the maximum input is for the Ada2 embedding model. And actually, I'll start looking at that while you get that together.
So I'm going to get this guy going. I don't want the custom markup one, which he's not in there anymore. Where are these 3 references? I just want to make sure I didn't do anything stupid. Okay, because we don't think we need that. And more importantly, you have a compiler. So I'm just going to make you go away because I think we can get away with this. I'm going to do this here. And I am going to send it with just this one and see what happens. Okay, so ingest, try it out, go. I should have a breakpoint right at the beginning to... Oh, I'm realizing I don't know if I left it there or not. I didn't. I killed all my breakpoints. Hold. I'm going to do this. Because I want to make sure it grabs the right one. I'm going to close down these tabs because I've clearly lost myself. And then you're going into your own file because you're causing me confusion. And then I want a breakpoint here, here, and here. Just to make uber sure. Okay, there, try it out, execute. Okay, first file. It is the short one, ESK. I just want to make sure that that's where I ended it. No,
Also,
it did not grab the one I expected. Hyphen BFB. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. Where x dot path get file name x equals there. I'm gonna make it real obvious which one you're allowed to be. So we're going to take the first 3 that all have this file name. I'm real confident what I'm about to get.
I would hope so. And also, I think we'd have to move.
Okay, there we go. Now we're only acting on the small one. Okay, so now we execute.
Oh yeah.
Binary data is actually what's being invoked. Not the stream. Okay, so I gotta refactor this a little bit. Okay. Data.
You know what's the greatest thing for me with all of this, Kevin? Is that it's been a while since I've gone through and did a couple months, and all the stuff I had going on. I honestly don't remember exactly how to do this stuff, as I'm sure you've been able to tell. Same with the audience. But I do remember running into this problem.
So return new. Actually, let's do this. Using var file stream gets file open. Turn decode async. There. Okay, so now we've implemented all the methods. There we go. There is poor man's implementation. There's probably a faster, more useful way of doing the binary data. I don't care. I am not optimizing for performance at the moment. I am optimizing for make it go. Hey, look, it go. Okay, so we're going to do the string reader. We're going to throw away the first line. We're going to read to the end. Now, this should be everything sans that first line. Great.
Bueno.
Yeah, Society Dog. So right now we are building basically the back-end data store, which is an embeddings database of the subtitles from my streams, with the intent to basically build we'll call it a grounded chat GPT clone of me. Which is
Kevin Bot.
Yeah, which is terrifying on a number of levels. I just realized I passed the wrong bloody value to this.
One other thing, really quickly. We'll run this until we get the small one working, but that won't give us the data we want. We'll want to hit a big one so we know how long those files actually are from a text perspective.
Got it. Well, I mean, we can just sort by file size, and I can tell you what my biggest one is. The thing is I'll probably want to leave a little bit of a buffer because the size of my files directly correlates to how long I stream. So the longer I stream, shockingly, the more talking I do, and the more talking I do, the more.
That does make sense.
That did not match any lines. Huh? Okay, well that regex. Oh, it is probably the. Sorry, I just want to verify that text contains what I expect. Yep. And that contains there. There are. Stop your debugging. Stop being a pill. There are regex options if you are smart and do it here. And I am trying to remember. Yeah, so we want multi-line because I wanted this to match the beginning of any line, not the beginning or end of the string. I think that's what we're going for. Turns out writing regex is hard and error prone. Who would have thought?
But it's so simple. It's only one line.
It's only one line. I don't understand why you didn't trust my regex. Hey, look there, we got a match. There we go.
Nice.
Hello. Blah blah blah. See, look at that. Look at that beautiful regex execution.
That is nice.
Absolutely
that is nice.
Beautiful regex execution.
My favorite place for regex is in places where I know the structure beforehand. I will agree. Anything that's too deep, though, whew. I mean, you've seen the email ones.
Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
1693 character count,
Okay.
and then it promptly passed.
1693.
But bear in
You
mind
need to
that
split
was
that into at least probably well, that's character count, not word count.
yeah.
3 to 4 characters. Yeah, you could probably fit that into one.
So, but bear in mind that is a
Embedding without a
4K
problem.
file
Yeah.
that we just did versus my. If we sort by size, I mean, my biggest is 450.
Yeah. So that brings us to the problem with doing a whole file. Obviously, we're not going to fit a whole file in there, which means we do indeed have to chunk.
Yeah.
Um,
So I'm sort of imagining we do something along the lines of, let's see, list, file, section, sections gets new, right? Something like that. This then
Yeah.
becomes sections, and then we go, let's see. See you, Society Dog. Fun at work. We will definitely have fun.
Later.
This is probably going to be a continuation a little bit. So what kind of length do you think we want to break on? Because I'm kind of thinking we just run until our string builder exceeds a particular length and then throw that into a section. So
it's a good way to start, especially since we know that the lines are not individual sentences or anything like that.
Section length. What do you think is a good value?
Well, I wouldn't go based on characters. I would go based on tokens.
And
So
how
that
do I
means
know
we
the
need
token count?
we need a token counter.
Dang nabbit.
You should be able to get the default GPT tokenizer. That I think you're going to need using Microsoft.kernelmemory.ai.openai.
Let's see. So using Microsoft
Kernel memory AI OpenAI. And that should give you
OpenAI or Azure OpenAI?
Just OpenAI.
Okay.
And then now you should be able to get default tokenizer static token counter.
Default what? Tokenizer?
Default GPT tokenizer.
Yeah.
Static.
Dot static count tokens.
Yes.
And then I can feed it text. Got it. Okay. Got it. So down here, I basically want to do something like this where I go int token count. Let's see. Int token count gets 0. Yes, I'm aware this isn't going to work, but we'll fix it in a minute. Token count plus equals the line, right?
Yep. That would do it.
Is it a problem that I'm appending a space? Is that going to affect the token count significantly? Do we care?
No, it won't. It won't affect the token count significantly, and I don't think you'll need. I don't know. Go to the transcript again, real quick. If it ends,
because we're getting that, and
you
then
don't get a free space. So yeah, definitely add the space back.
So
you don't want.
I actually want to do line plus space here, right? And then
I would agree.
Then I do this, right?
Yep.
And so that ends back in there.
Yep.
So what is our max token length that we're going for here?
2048, I want to say. Let me double check my brain here. No. Yeah, 2040 or we're Ada version 2. So actually, no, the max token is 8,191. I was way off.
8,191.
Yes.
Is there a reason I don't just do 8,000?
It's up to you.
Buffer.
Really, it doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean, yes, you can go with a lower max token length. You could then use those extra tokens to add context from a previous section, or you could even trim this down further if you want to break the content up smaller. So one of the other things to keep in mind is that as we do the other side of this, your mod or your bot is going to be pulling out, it's going to be using the query from the user, doing an embedding against that, and doing the similarity search against all of these embeddings in our database. So do you want that to come back with only one result and it would just be one big result? Or do you want to come back with like 5 smaller results that may get content from multiple different streams? You know what I mean? And then how efficient do you want it to be on getting enough context to answer the question while also not costing an arm and a leg in tokens going to the LLM? I generally find that smaller is better, but not too small. You don't want to be on individual sentences. I think if you could get to like paragraphs or like halves of paragraphs, that's better in my opinion.
Yeah.
But it's also not set up that way because
I don't.
this
Yeah,
is
I don't
just
have.
stream.
I don't have paragraphs or punctuation in a
Exactly.
lot of cases. So finding the end of sentences and finding the end of paragraphs is a little more difficult in that regard.
Yep.
But
So
if we go
maybe
something like this, right? Maybe we dial it down
let's
smaller.
go with let's start with like 4,000 or
And this isn't going to
2,000
be
maybe.
exact, right? Because I'm waiting until I go over. But I'm also leveraging the fact that I know that each of these lines isn't going to have a huge number of tokens.
Yeah.
Right? Like this is going to get itself down fairly small. But the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this, knowing that it won't land on that file if I do it. Right? It'll hit something
Great.
bigger. And then we will go here. And I already got a breakpoint. Okay. There were compilers. No, there are not compilers. What did I do wrong?
No semicolon.
Am I an idiot? Where is this? Oh, I am an idiot.
No, not an idiot. Semicolons.
I will say the regex has a nice side effect of deleting all the blank lines too, by the way.
Yeah.
The blank lines don't match the regex. So I have trimmed, I've secretly trimmed out all of the empty lines without having to trim out all the empty lines. Okay. I should have probably looked at how big this stream data is. So this thing has 100,000, right? So we are not going to step through all of these. I'm just kind of curious. So token count on that line was 7, right? So we're going to be 4,000 in a little bit is probably where it's going to land. I'm going to let it roll. Okay, what did we come up with? 4 sections.
Okay.
Okay.
You want to open that up wider? Let's take a quick gander at that.
Sure.
Get the full view.
So there's the content. So that is...
So that feels too big to me.
Probably. That feels huge. Like I almost want to quarter that is my thought.
Let's try 1,000. I like that idea.
Let's dial that sucker down. Relaunch. Is there ever a benefit to putting the same content, like, because you had mentioned before about at the breakpoints where you like overlap, like the end of one section overlaps the beginning of the next, right? I think that's what you were driving at.
And you may even see better results in this kind of context than you would in like a typical regularly or normally structured files, so like with normal paragraphs and sentences, because this has zero context of what the end of a thought is or the end of a a diatribe is than normal documents do.
I am just a stream of consciousness.
Well, and any moment of that stream is probably at least referentially correlated to the moment before and the moment after.
I think that depends on how much Mountain Dew I've had.
So what I would almost maybe think about doing is actually breaking it up. If we wanted to get these down to like a quarter of the size, actually do 500 sized chunks, but with 200 with half of the chunk before it and half of the chunk after it.
Got it. Yeah,
And that also feels
may,
pretty big too.
yeah, this might even be too big as well. So maybe total size should be more in the realm of like 250, with maybe an overlap of
100 on either side or something,
I
or
was gonna
50
say
on either side.
50 on either side, 25 on either
Yeah.
side, maybe.
Yeah.
The problem is then I have to go and like keep track of that versus the hard brakes now. Because the risk here with the hard brakes is that it may lose things that are right at the brakes, right? It's not going to have knowledge on both sides. So
Yep.
we might do the overlap in an effort to clean that up. Take a look at this. So we're now up to 57 sections. That feels a little more manageable.
Where to look in because it's mistakes. Also, it should be easy to fix. It's quite frankly.
Oh, this was a hospital night. Oh, this was a sleep study. I remember this night. I remember this. This sleeping on what felt like a sheet of plywood. I remember that night. When your kid gets a sleep study, you don't get the comfortable bed.
Yeah, yeah.
You get the what's sitting in the corner part of the room. He got the comfortable bed. He slept well. I did not.
Good. He probably needed to sleep well.
Yeah. Something about
not to say
me not
you
being
don't,
the patient.
but
Something.
yeah, you know, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. So this feels decent.
Feels decent. Now we can add in handling the overlap if we want.
I think I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna put in a to do, and then we can circle back to this.
Okay.
To do overlap the sections.
So,
and I'm gonna rename this to SRT Markdown Decoder. It's a little more clear. What?
Go into file content and see what's available to us real quick.
File content. File section or file content? File content has very little.
Go to file section. See what's in file section for us.
File section has this thing here.
Oof. Yeah. And this was the part. This was the reason why I ended up going at the handler level and doing some different stuff. And actually, and partially the handler level. You know, yeah, actually, absolutely the handler level. So the problem with the decoder is that, especially in content like this, you're losing context. So where are your URLs going?
Hang on. This might... Sorry, I was looking at the description here. This kind of handles the overlap problem.
Yes.
So, because I intentionally set sentence complete to false, so there it knows these things are going to run together. That's kind of cool. I almost want my AI to figure out where my sentences go. I need AI for my AI. I need AI to pre-process the input to my AI.
Oh, you could certainly do that.
Oh, I don't doubt it. The question is, should I? Probably not. Not yet.
That's another one of those ones where I would run it like this first. Run the easy, bare bones, and then you could, if you wanted to, benchmark it. Run it with sentence division. Benchmark it again. See how it performs. Go the data scientist way, you know.
That sounds like work.
It is. It is in fact work.
Sorry, I cut you off. You were trying to emphasize something about why the handler and not the parser.
Yeah. So the problem is that what you return, and this is why I was going to ask you to look at file content. Go back to file content real quick and see what we get in file content.
We don't get a whole lot. Mime type in some pre-canned sections.
Yeah. So the problem is that where do our URLs go? We lose the URLs going through this.
Which is where this guy here actually had. Because what was the return out of this guy? Because he was doing file content.
He's doing the same thing.
He's returning back text, file content, skip file. So he doesn't even have it. So where
he does not.
So how do I get? Is it here? Kind of nice. I can just jump in and look at these.
Mm-hmm.
Chunk header. This feels like something that is going to have. Allow override to the number overloading. Overlapping tokens. Please tell me this. Hang on.
Yes. So
it works for me without me having to do anything. That makes me happy.
It does, but what I'm confused by, a piece of this that I do not remember is that you are doing some chunking in the extractor too, it seems. You're at least breaking it down into smaller pieces.
Yeah.
In the extractor, as opposed to the partitioner.
Because this guy comes in here, gets the context, gets custom partition. So this is just reading the settings. If the paragraphs are too big for the embedding. Chunk header, upload file, generated file. Partition sentences, and this is where it starts to.
What we should do. Trust me, I don't think you'll have a lot. I don't think you'll have a lot of luck with that markdown chunker.
Okay.
Yours is not complex markdown, but you also have a unique use case.
Everyone has a unique use case.
I mean, this is fair. Go. So what I ended up doing, let me just roll this back a little bit. I ended up using the default text extractor. I don't remember it breaking any of my markdown down. Down.
Mm-hmm.
Because after that, I then used a custom partitioning handler, very much the same as their text partition handler, but just handling markdown and doing some more context-informed chunking. The problem that I have still is that you're ending up with an odd number of files, unless.
Why is an odd number of files weird? Because this thing here appears that the generated file details appears to have what we expect, right?
Yeah. So go to your storage account. I think what happened is that I got confused because, again, it's been a while. So you go into your storage account, you're going to have all of those chunks, those partitions, and then you're also going to have your embeddings. And you should have some additional files. And one of those files is going to be what was extracted and is the output of the text extraction handler. And I think that, yep.
This guy here?
Yeah. So go into that. Download that. And this is what got me. I forgot about this. Yeah.
So this is the cleaned up text, which is, I think there's still some value in this being the text.
Yes. Do we want to handle any kind of chunking at or processing at the extraction step, or do we want to handle it as a separate step? I would tend to think a separate step we would just move some of this work over to a different handler. I don't know.
Interesting. Okay.
I mean, in theory, you could do all of this in one handler, but it defeats the purpose of having steps and breaking it into smaller work products.
Smaller chunks. Yeah. And this guy here, sorry, I was just trying to make sure I understood this. The new files is what? Is a dictionary that they create, adds the things in, uploaded file is being iterated over the pipeline files. So they are mutating the thing that came in via the context, adding a generated file to it with the key and value from their dictionary. Interesting. Okay, sorry. Say that
You're
say that one more
totally
time.
fine.
Say that one more time for me of what you were proposing.
We don't want to do a decoder, or at least we don't want to do a decoder the way we're doing it.
Okay.
The output of the decoder and the text extraction is actually what we want. I will claim blame for that one. My bad. But what that does mean is that we can do all of the chunking and actually utilizing the existing URL and timestamp. So if you go down to the bottom of this file, this is where we're actually going to want to output a little bit up where you see that that new of the generated file details. That's what we're going to want to end up creating, and we're going to add inside of that tags or elsewhere on here. We'll actually probably have to create a new set of tags and assign this new generated file those new tags. But in those tags, we can include the URL that's associated with that chunk and other metadata.
Got it. Sorry, I just want to look at this real quick. This guy here is very arbitrary.
Is just dictionary.
He's just dictionary. Okay, so you're proposing
is just dictionary of lists.
So you're proposing I make a new one that's similar to this but yet different, right?
Yes. Yes.
Let's see. SRT mark down. We'll go that up here.
It's already got that token counter in there for you too.
Then we want this to be okay, we'll see what we end up needing. Some of these are not available, but using those go away. So the text chunker bit is potentially problematic. Please be a exposed extension method. You are not. You suck. What?
Yeah.
Why? Like why, people? Why? Why? What benefit? Like, here's a useful extension we're not going to share.
Oh man, I forgot about all these. I had to make so many extensions.
Okay. Okay, internal constants. I have a theory that this is not public. Go away.
Certainly.
But it may or may not matter. We're just gonna do this.
I mean, it's
we're gonna do this, and we'll see about addressing. Okay, so aside from text chunker being flagged on us, we'll deal with that as they come. So okay. Somebody needs to fix their logging. It bothers me.
It also bothered the IntelliTect
Analyzers.
Analyzers, yeah.
Yeah, I believe it. Okay, so we've got that. So what in here are we proposing changing?
So to start, let's just kind of go down. Yep, take out the plain text, perfect, and then the rest of it, I want to say honestly, is probably fine. And we could either build our own chunker or we could just put the stuff in line here. I mean, it's up to you. We don't have to use a chunker. The chunker's just another piece.
Sorry, I'm gonna shut this sucker up. Tell it I really don't care. Okay.
Go.
Okay, so now we get down to here, and we're proposing this is where we want to do something slightly different, right?
Actually, I'd go up first, and where you have your MIME type check, yep, markdown. Mm-hmm. This is where we'll actually be breaking it up into smaller pieces.
Got it.
So
I'm gonna propose I even go as far as to do this.
Yeah. If you don't want to handle the case,
yep. I don't care. It doesn't exist.
Works for me. I approve of this message.
There. Okay, so we come in here, we get the content, right?
Yep.
And then once I have the content, this is where I want to actually do
what you were doing in the other one. Yes.
So I want this little thingy to come over here, and I want you to go hang out down here, and I want you to become a partial. Okay, so he goes there, and then we want to do somewhere in here.
Yes.
I want to do something akin to this, but it's going to be the same but different, right? Like I've got this, because it's about to do the partitioning content, right? So I've got these two things that come out. So it takes the sentences.
So that would be like individual lines in your markdown, and then it builds paragraphs or partitions out of those. So
yeah, because we won't end up actually using this to split markdown lines into sentences. Like, because honestly, I could even go as far as to say sentences add line, right? I could do that.
Yes.
And be very okay with this.
Now, one thing to keep in mind, so you're going to add all the lines to the list of sentences, but are you going to track the URLs that go with those lines?
Yeah, like that. And that was my thing as I was trying to see what this partitioning thing was.
It's just building it into a bigger chunk. So it handles the
Oh, but I've already built it
how
into.
long you're.
I already had the thing that built it into chunks.
And you can just use that, yeah.
So write file. What is orchestrator write file doing? File name binary content. So I kind of feel like, because this is just doing the splitting and all of that, but I kind of already have that information,
You do.
right? So if I pull this out, but I guess that's the hard part then is if I leave the chunk as it sits, right? I actually have a string of URLs. And that means I either chunk into smaller groups and only use like the first URL, because at the end of the day, the URLs are just a pointer into a video.
Mm-hmm.
So I could get away with just grabbing the first one, throwing away the others because they don't matter, right?
Yep. Yep.
And
I
then
would completely agree.
making that my set of tags that go into here. I don't need this partitioning or sentences or any of that stuff, right? I
You
want to take
don't
what I did, build one of, and then
build one of those.
build one of these.
Oh, well, build several, but yeah.
Well, but my thing is already coming in somewhat separated for me, right? Like I'm going to get a big chunk of stuff here. So what I would like to do is I want.
Are you calling into your decoder? Or are you okay? No,
No.
you're pulling this out. Okay, good.
Yeah,
Good,
yeah,
good.
yeah.
We're good. We're good. We're good.
I'm pulling across.
Okay.
So I'm going to do something like this instead, right? Get rid of
Yep.
this. Right? And then this becomes content. Right? And then we're going to do string URL get gets null. And then we're going to do this so that I get the first one. And then when I do this, we do URL gets null. Grab the next one. Right? So this is functionally like when I've hit here or here is when I want to like make chunk.
Yes.
Right? So I need the make chunky code. You all go away. You don't matter to me. You don't matter to me anymore. Okay. So this is the make chunk bits. Right?
Yep.
So this is what I want here. And so what I would like to do is I would like to go here, void make chunk. That's chink. I do not want to make a chink in my armor. And I put you here. Right, so the text becomes all text to string. Right, so that goes like that. Section number, I don't know where that's getting used here. Partition number. This needs to be an incrementing int. This apparently needs to be async task. Reasons.
So section number doesn't get used yet. It means nothing. We can replace it, obviously.
Yeah.
But like you see that to do up there.
And then this is upload file, get partition file name. Just confused as to what this is. Okay. So was the previous code this is the destination
code got that from.
Well, all I need is the partition number, and so this is just getting the partition numbers, right? And this just needs to be a counter. So secretly what this becomes is new files.count. Because Right, so that goes like that, because then as we add things in, the partition number automatically increments, blah, 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 blah. Right, this now works. This now works. I now need to,
Oh, okay. I see what you're doing now. Yes.
right?
Yes.
Um, I don't need this garbage. Go away. Okay, so that goes away. That goes away. This becomes token count. This guy here. So I want to make chunk async. Oh wait, right? And then the last thing that I would like it to do, I would like it to do this at the end of this method. Yeah, so it can clear that out. And then this thing here. Oh wait. Make chunk async. Yeah. So not the cleanest code I've ever written, but right, this guy goes through here. That all just works then. Partitions is meaningless. Sentences is meaningless. Partition content we are still using to get our content back out. Partition mime type I see no point in keeping this declaration because we throw the value away immediately. This one here gets used here, but I see no reason not to just straight inline that, because that just makes it harder to read what is happening by having it in two different places. Clean that out. I feel like I can flatten a bunch of this stuff. Okay, so now I have this, and now I just need to build up tags, which is a tag collection. So tag collection tags gets pipeline.tags.
.clone.
And then tags URL gets URL. This becomes tags. What is your problem?
You just specific URL.
No, it's unhappy because it might be null.
Ah.
Let's see here. Oh.
Yeah. I forgot. I thought it. Yeah, I definitely said that it's a list. Dictionary of the lists.
Okay, so this goes here, this goes here, this goes here, right? And then what I do is I come up here and I go ding, ding, ding. And I take this guy and I go back to my here, right? And I go you dumb. And I put this guy in his place.
Yep.
Then it just works.
So it does, but we can take off a few extra things here that we don't need.
Okay.
I don't think we need to summarize. Not yet. Maybe we'll do that in the future. Maybe we'll add some additional context there. We definitely need to generate embeddings.
Yep.
We definitely need to save records.
Yep.
The rest of that you can get rid of for the time being.
We don't need any of this cleanup stuff?
We do not for the time being.
Okay.
That looks like it should do what we want it to do.
Okay, let's run this and just I want to see it work, and then I may have to call it.
Absolutely.
Because it is almost 1 a.m.
It is. I have to go do work after this.
Are you familiar with what working hours are?
You mean 24/7 a day, 365?
I mean, that is an option.
350 something? I don't know. How many holidays do we have?
Yeah. Okay, so this is going to iterate through both generated files. It concerns me that I have extracted text and extracted JSON as two files here. But we'll see. I have a feeling we're going to hit already processed by. So the first generated file is which? Text. This thing here has all of that, and it gives me back this. Wait a minute. How did it strip out all of the... Oh, hang on. I left my content decoder.
Ah, yes.
I was like, how did
Good
it
catch.
strip out all of that content? It
How did
shouldn't
it
have.
know?
How did it know to do that? Like, that was the whole point of us doing that, is so that we didn't have something stripping our content on us.
Yeah.
Let's try this again. Okay, so once again, I assume I'm going to see the file details to generated files. Yeah. Okay, so let's go down to content. Content now looks kind of what we would expect.
Yes.
Okay, great. We're going to do our chunky thing. And I kind of want to put a breakpoint here, and I probably want to put a breakpoint here. Okay, so we hit the first one. Reached some number of things. Oh, before we were stripping that first line, and now we aren't anymore.
That's okay. Just
So
let it run for now, and we'll see.
Yeah, so we'll let this go. I realize we've got a token counter here, and I'm doing my own token counting up there, so there's probably some cleanup there. The tags collection contains what we expect. Mark file process by. Okay, we're going to let it go. Turn this breakpoint off, run it to the end. I'm just curious how far through this file we are, but okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Something that makes me concerned that we're about to buffer overflow or similar. Okay. Feel like I've messed something up in this loop, but I don't understand how, because this is a for each on matches of content.
Go into your make chunk async.
I guess it's only at 108. That's actually not that big.
Yeah, that doesn't seem too terribly big.
But I'm also noticing like we're tokenizing and counting tokens multiple times. That could be adding to our time. We count tokens here, and then we token count down here as well.
Yeah.
And we're only token counting for a log. Oh. Token count and token count. It was reallocating a different variable. This thing was never being reset.
Ah.
So it was hitting on every single one of those. Right again. Then I guess the important thing here is a bunch of this stuff is actually being done locally. Here. 30. So this thing is actually kind of slow.
As a single process that's also going out and reaching out for stuff, yes.
Yeah.
Relatively slow.
Okay, so there's that. And just looking at the 56 files. If we look at what is inside of each of these.
Seems like too many. Oh, this is on a big file.
It's on a big file.
We had like, okay. And actually, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's not horrible. Okay, so that appeared to have done something. I am realizing, though, we probably should have, like, dumped the database or something.
So, if I'm not mistaken, you don't have to worry about that. Well,
I mean, the easy thing would be if I scroll to the right here in a minute and we see that URL in the tag.
If it's the same file, then expand app tags.
I don't see
so no URL there yet.
Yeah, but it also hasn't hit my other breakpoints, so it's potentially not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
Because it still has to gen the embeddings.
Then save them.
Yeah. But once we hit the next breakpoint at the bottom of the for each, that's when we should see it. But you think it should update these properly?
It won't if they have different names.
It won't if they have different names, different document IDs?
Yeah.
But it will know that it will know that the hashes are different, so it'll know that the content for this thing has been updated. Right? I guess I'm just wondering, am I going to get new additions to this table, or?
I believe that you'll get new additions. We've removed those deletions. I think those deletions will handle cleaning up.
See, this thing is ordering by ID, which I think it's going to be fairly random. Won't it be? Because the ID is just made up of the file name and the...
Good.
Yeah. Oh, payload actually is what had the URL in it, not tags.
Yeah, the problem is you can't access the payload until later.
Okay, so that guy just finished. So if I just blind run this sucker. That I think this thing's going to be fairly random. URL.
There's a URL.
It did make it in.
Perfect.
Okay. So that appears to have worked. Sweet. Sweet. That is pretty good. That is really good. Okay, I'm checking this in. I'm going to leave the decoder here, despite the fact that we don't think we need this. I'm going to get rid of the to-do.
Yeah, for sure.
Let me check this in. Let's see. Put this over. Work in progress. Adding in AI support. Parsing SRT. Cool. Hit and push. Sweet. That is cool. That is very cool, Casey.
It's all right. Yeah, it'll get better.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this though, because I feel like there's a lot here to make this even better. I just noticed my app settings isn't being checked in for some reason.
Yeah. Because they're afraid you're gonna put a password in there. You know? They're just trying to help you out.
Yeah. Just checking what's in it. I'm sure I have a bad git ignore because of how the history of this repository. But that'll be able to grab it. So cool. Where do you picture going next with this?
Ooh. I think we'd want to take a probably take a gander at what we actually get out of this, see if it looks good, see if there's anything else that we could pull that would be useful. Um, and then we could do just a full run, see how that goes. We could start either uh, allowing this to actually queue jobs and then work those in separate processes or on separate workers,
Mm-hmm.
or we can move from this once we get all of this put in and get some chat going, get some responses, make sure we get Mountain Dew out for best soda in the world, and
Yeah.
then we could do some benchmarking if we wanted, and or even develop our own benchmark for this. And I don't know, it'd be kind of funny. I wonder if you could ask, maybe put something out on Twitch or on Twitter, and or ask your audience in some other way to generate questions that should be able to be answered. I mean, general questions to start, and then maybe you add in some of
Yeah.
things that you said in streams, or things that should be able to be answered via the content of your streams.
Okay.
uh, Build a benchmark for it, see how it does. If it does terrible, there's a lot of ways we can improve the actual chunking, embedding, even once we get to actually adding in chat, how we prompt, so there's quite a few places for us to go with regards to improving performance if necessary.
Cool. I definitely like the idea of trying to plug in chat and then see how it goes, even if it falls over miserably.
Yeah,
But
absolutely, start there. It gets people some insight on what we hope
yeah.
to do,
And then
maybe seeing
it's
some good results or some bad ones.
yeah, and then I may take a little bit of cleanup so that we aren't just like hard coded garbage like this. But
Awesome.
that is easy once we got this plugged in. So
I love it. Yeah.
cool. Absolutely love it. Well, Casey, as always, this has been a pleasure. For anybody catching the recording of this, feel free to drop in if this was interesting to you. I know this is kind of a deeper topic than oftentimes what we dive into, but this is definitely an area of interest for me. So kind of hope to try it out and see with the end hope of having an AI version of myself.
Yeah, see, and I'm most excited, honestly, when I get to come back on after a couple more streams and we're building a UI for this, which you'll be the expert at, and I'll be like, well, I don't know what the heck you're doing. So yeah,
It'll take like 3 minutes. It'll be fine.
I don't know about that. We're gonna make it beautiful.
That's
We got to get
true.
a talking head on there. Remember?
That's right. We wanted AI for our AI.
Yes. So I don't know what my schedule looks like next week, but I could probably make some time if you want to continue this next week. If not, we should definitely do it the week after. I don't know what your schedule looks like, but we'll talk,
Yeah,
and
yeah. Let's
hopefully
talk
again
and
soon.
settle it. And I will warn people because I am still trying to figure out when I am moving. There is a real chance that I may cancel streams kind of arbitrarily. So, uh, Discord and Twitch are the best ways to stay updated on um, when that's going to happen. Because or I guess X, Discord, or Twitch, I'll usually try to update all three so that anybody who's following notifies. So, but keep track of it. But yeah,
Yeah,
talk
and I
schedules.
think yeah, let's talk schedules. See, for anybody that does watch this, has any questions about anything, feel free to shoot them into Discord. Um, or if you have something that you want us to dig in on in this topic area, reg, embeddings, kind of the state of models, or really anything, let Kevin know in the chat, or on Discord, and we'll maybe work something out for a future episode.
Yeah,
Find ways
sounds
we
good.
can work it into this.
Yeah, and just to answer the question, yeah, sorry, Naya, you dropped in at a bad point. We're working on building a little AI agent that is powered by the uh, recordings of my past streams. So we made progress. So check out the rest of the recordings. But unfortunately for us, it is about 1 a.m. and the The Mountain Dew cans are empty, or at least mine are empty. I assume, Casey, you managed to polish yours off as well.
You can barely see it on the green screen there.
I
Yeah,
know.
it's empty.
Cool. So with that, I'll tell everybody happy coding. Thank you again, Casey. We'll see everyone next time.
Have fun.